Welcome to another edition of Strange New Pod. I'm your Romulan commander and host, Julian Brown, alongside the best bridge crew this side of Romulus. We have Praetor Eric, whose first reaction was, quote, "Oh shit, starting off with the neutral zone?"
No. Oh shit! Start off with the neutral zone? What the fuck?
Oh boy. It's in that voice, exactly.
It was much higher, but
then we have Centurion Hawk, who said, "Is this Balance of Terror? Oh fuck." And Commander Giraffe, who is I believe a captain in Romulan, so you still have your captain rank, don't worry, who texted me, "Dude, the finale."
No, it was, "Dude, the finale."
yeah.
Dude, that's not where I parked my bird of prey. Oh man, welcome back and
they're
welcome
cloaked.
aboard,
They're hard
guys.
to find on the parking,
No,
you know.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's why you
Good
have
point.
the Romulan bird of prey beeper, right? Oh God! Welcome back and welcome aboard, guys. As you can see on our view screen tonight, we are joined on the bridge of a different kind of bird of prey. Those Klingon ones, those are nice too. By one half of the awesome Duras Sisters, we have Rhianna Herd. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so thrilled to be back on Strange New Pod. I love being back with my podcast family. So thanks for having me.
It's so good to have you. Originally, we said this a couple times, and we've chosen to have guests and said we usually do like a big round table at the end of the season. But I feel like this season of Stranger New Worlds has just been like a celebration of like getting everybody on that we possibly can to talk about it. And I was like, what better way to end with, like you said, podcast family. Having you on. Fortunately, Ashlyn couldn't make it, but that just means we owe her a guest spot on another one sometime soon.
Totally.
So, listen, I started the show with everybody's reactions to the finale, and I want to get yours. What was the first thing that popped into your head when you saw the direction the finale was going?
Two things. Oh my God, the helmets. I love the Romulan helmets. And also we get like an own iteration of a first Kirk and Spock meeting, and I like fainted of happiness and excitement. So those were my big takeaways when I was watching the finale.
Nice. That's awesome. The helmets were epic.
So good.
It's good that they were there. I think only like 2 of them were wearing them, but they were there and you can't take that away. So
exactly.
Listen, your pod's awesome. This is not just because you're on the pod. Duras Sisters is one of the 2 Star Trek podcasts that I listen to.
Oh, thank you.
So
You're the one that's Strange New Pod.
That's it.
Correct.
Yes.
No, the others is our good friends over at Star Trek Discovery Pod. They're awesome as well.
Yes,
awesome. But I want you guys always have such awesome series going on. You just finished up the feminism series, which was epic and beautiful and just so awesome. You guys are doing a Death Fake Out series right now. Tell us a little bit about that. Like,
oh my God.
It's so cool.
It's been such a blast. Ashlyn chose our theme because I chose feminism. We switch off. And essentially, we wanted to just go through every wild, wacky, and emotional death fake out that happens in Star Trek. And turns out there are like just a plethora to choose from. I mean, we went from this like largest characters like Spock and Kirk and their deaths in TOS, and then to the smallest characters like Finney and Court Marshall, So we cover a lot of like range of topics, and we actually had 2 guests, 2 people who reached out to us before. They were so excited to be on for this series that they like asked us personally to do the death fake outs with us. So we just had
do that. We can just ask you to
you
come.
can just ask.
I want to come back.
We would love to have you. We had the pleasure of having Giraffe on for our feminism episode, and it was just like amazing. I literally talked to my dad today, and he was like, "That person called Giraffe, like she's fucking awesome." I was like, "Right."
God damn it, Giraffe.
Perfect timing. But yeah, so it's been such a fun series where we had back-to-back guests, which was wild and so fun. It's such a blast. And we are going to be now entering in our Enterprise section of Death Fake Outs, which is
lots of them there.
going to be really interesting. And our Voyager Death Fake Outs will be coming out this Sunday or sooner, because as you can see with all these boxes behind me, I'm moving on Sunday. So it will be coming out before then because I cannot do both. So yeah, we're really excited. And I've not chosen a series for my next, but we'll see. I'm
Figure
still
that out after you
thinking about
move.
it.
You
Yeah,
have
got too
more
much life
important
stuff
shit
going
to
on.
do. Yeah. Speaking of life, I see a beautiful orange cat behind you.
Yes,
Who
this is
that?
Archie. He is our 2-year-old. He is the loudest. He's probably always the culprit of the cat you hear on the pod. So he's
That's
very
awesome.
chatty.
That's awesome. He's very cute.
Thank you.
It's time to get into the pod, guys. This week, if you haven't guessed by now, it is the season finale of Strange New Worlds. I still hate saying that because I could definitely go like 10 more episodes. What happens with Pike, or I should say, what happens when Pike is visited by the ghost of Balance of Terror's future? And how does Captain Kirk factor into the future events Pike set into motion? And can he make a case for peace with the Romulans? And what about that bombshell at the end of the episode? We break it all down. But first, we're back to the top. Eric, we need to thank our patron collective at the Ready Room level and above.
Hello there, patrons.
Hello
We'd like to thank Simon Sager, Jeff Reeve, Mariah Gossett, Jen Stein, Tina Alexander, Joe Saporito, Noe Santo, Kung Hui, Haven, Takako Nagumo, Kara Kennedy, Mark, Fernanda Nogales, SMK, Ian Davies, Laura Linderman, Koalian Night Spray, Colin Davidson, Jesse Desmond, Alan Davis, Shatterhand 2049, Jesco, MC Frodis, Maggie, Michael Graham, Emily and Travis, Gildara, Cassie, Raul, Summer Ritchie, supporter of human rights, Maggie Light.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
No, I was cheering.
Human rights.
Woo!
Yeah, human rights for everybody. Yay.
Maggie Light, knock knock.
Wait, is that two people? Is that knock and knock? Or is
Knock,
it knock
interrupting
knock?
cow moo is
I was
one
wondering.
person.
that's one
Okay. Knock knock, interrupting cow moo. Wayne Ritz, Scone of Arc, Sean, and Jay Howard.
I think patrons are just like making up names right now to just interrupt the thing.
It's one
funny.
person and one person alone, and that one
We
person
all
is
know
Chris.
who that is.
We know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And now that I have this fancy new soundboard, I actually have an applause button on here again. So. Thank you, patrons.
Can
you
I
guys
remind
rock.
our
Yes, do your
patrons
thing.
that next week we have patrons happy hour on the 14th, and it's Bastille Day too. So make it French, people.
And bring
in
your
the
baguettes.
champagne.
Make it French. We're gonna make it.
Yeah.
Always.
Maybe we'll have a
And
bottle of wine for that.
The week after that, we'll be at Comic Con San
Woo.
Diego. Please come say hi to us.
Yay!
Woo.
Jeff, why don't you tell people again what you're gonna be doing there? 'Cause
Oh
it's pretty
yeah, I'm
fucking
gonna
dope.
be on panel called
Woo.
Star Trek, Archaeology and Paleontology. It's called It's Dead, Jim. I wrote the title and I really like it. It's gonna be it's Comic Con, so everything is always subject to changes, but most probably on Saturday afternoon. And yeah, please come say hi. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna nerd out on Star Trek and archaeology and paleontology. Yeah, all the nerds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will be in Star Trek Las Vegas in August too. So
Sweet. I'm jealous about that one. We also have your drink video that was supposed to come out today, but I've had a day, so that'll be out tomorrow. Promise. Which is good because you'll have plenty of time to perfect the recipe for next week's happy hour. So
absolutely.
Speaking
Heck
of
yeah.
next week, before we get into the review, so Rhianna has all the time in the world to plug more at the end. I'm gonna do a couple of bits of business right now before we go in. Next week we will be back where you just keep going. We're going to be doing a kind of different version of what we're doing here tonight. This is really about the finale and Pike and Strange New Worlds. Next week, we're going to take this episode and we're going to dissect it alongside Balance of Terror. Can we announce the special
I think we
thing
can
yet?
say
I
that
think
we're
we
gonna have a
can, yeah.
special guest,
Go ahead.
but it's not in the book yet, so maybe we
Okay,
keep
so
the
we're going to
secret a little
have
bit.
a very special guest. You'll have
Yes.
to wait till later in the week to get the official name, but we have a very special guest for that.
Giraffe
it'll
is
be
very
a-
excited.
It'll be an old school Strange New Pod deep dive into Balance of Terror and Equality of Mercy. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then the 21st, because of Comic Con and Draft being in San Diego and me being in San Diego, That'll be our
Erin
week.
being in San Diego.
Aaron being in San Diego as well. Aaron will be on the pod next week.
Awesome.
We're going to be off the 21st, and then we'll be back, and we're going to come up with some episodes. We don't have a date for Lower Decks yet. I'm guessing sometime in the next month and a half, but
Fingers crossed.
We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, it is The Strange New World Season 1 finale, episode 110, A Quality of Mercy. It is our review and deep dive. Tonight's roundtable order will go Rhianna, Giraffe, Eric, Hawk, and then myself. Let's get into this one. This episode starts off with a meeting between Captain Pike, Una Spock, and I said Una Spock like they were one person, and that would be a really interesting episode. I'm not
Tuvix
gonna
part
lie.
2.
They've been locked in a turbo lift already, so you know.
True.
Oh, before this goes away in the chat, I'm gonna backtrack 1 second. One of our collective members, Haven, wrote Rhianna, a recommendation for the next series, The Best of the Borg. Just
That is
putting that out.
genius, Haven.
So.
Thank you. I'm literally so excited about this idea.
Cool. So Una Spock, I'm calling them Una Spock for the rest of the episode, and then the commander of Outpost 4, who is worried that, you know, his outpost is on the outskirts, like right on the neutral zone, obviously worried like the Romulans could come blow them to shit, and Pike's like, we got you.
Which is what they do.
Yeah, which is what they do. We're going to retrofit everything. You're going to be good. We're going to take care of everything. It's like Horizon coming and giving you a new AC unit. Everything's good. So Pike is all of a sudden real shook, right? Because the commander's son, Ma'at, who is one of the casualties of Pike's accident later down the line, he just freezes and leaves the room. And Una's like, that's one of the kids, isn't it? He's like, yeah, now I have to do something. So he decides finally, you know what? I am going to change my future. And letting the boy know, or he doesn't quite get to finish the letter, because all of a sudden, like A Christmas Carol, he is visited by future Admiral Pike dressed in, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. It was the Romulan uniforms for Giraffe. It's the maroons for me. Those beautiful, beautiful Wrath of Khan maroon uniforms. Future Admiral Pike. And he has a very dire warning. Shit gets really bad, really, really bad if he changes his fate. What did we think about future Pike and the return of time crystals?
Ooh. Wow. Well, there's so much to unpack even about the first part of this episode. But I first want to just start off by saying I love how Trek it is. I mean, obviously it's Star Trek, we're watching it, but this is such a core of Trek, is having these doubles, one who's from the future. I mean, even in our Death Fake Out series, we talked already so many episodes where someone's coming back from the future to give a warning or to change time or whatever. So I was already getting timeless vibes from this. I was already feeling like, whoa, what is going on? We are having a double Pike. Something's going to go terribly wrong, because whenever there's a double, like, we know stuff is going to go down. So I thought that this was really intriguing. Also was just like fainting out of happiness of the fact that the Wrath of Khan maroons were there. They were absolutely beautiful. And the fact that Balance of Terror is kind of a like mini Wrath of Khan, you know, made me appreciate it even more. I rewatched the episode today to get like really, you know, into the mindset of this episode. And it was cool to see the Wrath of Khan uniforms when I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of similarities here. And that was really cool. I think my biggest issue is that like Pike is kind of a dummy. Like, why would you do this? I'm sorry, I love him, but like, why would you say, hey, I know your future, you're gonna die, like, to this kid? It's just like so messed up.
Because he doesn't want the kid to die.
I know. Like,
but he
he's
also
so
doesn't want to
empathetic.
die. It's
Yeah.
like it's
He's like
it's
win
both.
for win,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But I just think like there must not be a temporal mechanics class at Starfleet yet, because like Kirk hasn't broken enough rules yet for them to even think of making a class.
Janeway,
Pike
Janeway.
No
Pike
Janeway
didn't
yet.
do quite enough.
No
Like not
Janeway,
Pike.
yeah.
Archer didn't quite do enough with.
No.
Well, you know he
Well,
did though.
but
He
Sloan
did, though.
really
He did
did
fuck
most
around
of
with
it.
time, yeah.
So
Older Pike also said you're gonna write something better. So maybe he was like, maybe there's a pot of gold somewhere else over here. You should go there
yeah.
on that day.
Oh my god, probably. Yeah. So I just thought it was like just hilarious how shocked he was. He's like, whoa, really? That changed the future irrevocably? I'm like, yes, it did. Have you seen Star Trek? And no, of course he hasn't. So I just thought that was hilarious. We all know the causes of time change and all of that, especially because the Klingons at Borath were so insistent about like, if you touch this crystal, your fate is sealed, you know. And so the fact that even tried to get around it is such an interesting character change. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, like catastrophically, just shit will go wrong if you do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well said.
So let's be honest, I knew from the beginning that they were gonna fuck around with time, because in the promo shots, like the first trailer that they ever gave us for Strange New World, you see Uhura wearing the TOS
Yep.
like boat neck, you know? And
With
I was
the
like,
lieutenant
oh my
rank.
god, this
Yeah.
is the TOS, this is the TOS uniform, right? So I was waiting through episode. I was like, where's that uniform? When is it happening? When is it happening? Finale, I was like, okay, this is happening in the finale. But I didn't know how. So when he meets the kid, I was like, oh, he's gonna pull a Janeway. He's gonna have the time police on his butt. Like he's totally gonna do it, right? And I didn't expect the maroons. I have to say, if you're in San Diego, go to the San Diego Comic-Con Museum, because they have the Wrath of Khan original uniforms there. They have Kirk's and Uhura's, and
Dope.
these things are beaten up. Like they're 40 years old. You can see it. So like it's actually very cool to see the real uniforms and then see the finale, because you see how they updated it and made it a little bit more like, fresh.
Fresh is a good word. Yeah.
Fresh. Yeah. So it was interesting. I love like these stupid Star Trek plot, like touch the crystal and like experience the future. I mean, it's nonsensical. It's like basically, but why not? It's a good tool. So yeah, the thing is that I think there was like a little bit too many eras for people that don't know Star Trek. So you have like the Maroons, then you have the TOS, then you have the Strange New World. Like piecing all these together in time, I think for newbies maybe a little bit complicated. Even me, I was like, wait, the Maroons are like 20 years after TOS, right? So that means that they survived the war and the Federation still exists. But like, like Prodigy, when you're like, wait a minute.
Where are we?
Everywhere. But I think it's a fun Star Trek premise. It's what we expected. It works. I mean, don't look too much into it, and it's okay.
Nice.
Hi.
I don't know what's after me.
I'm next. I'm obviously after you, after your nice insightful thing, and I get to talk about it. Okay, so I watched this one. Fun fact time. As soon as I saw the outpost, like you see Outpost 4, it's the first shot. I was sitting there, I was like, that's weird. That's a very specific outpost. Like, and then they're talking about
very TOS outpost.
Yeah, they're talking about the neutral zone. I was like, oh shit, this is amazing. And then we get to see some great like Canadian actors. Ali Hassan, who plays what was he? The commander. Wait, not the commander. Hassan al-Salah.
Yeah, commander.
He's like an amazing actor. Like he's a comedian in Canada. So seeing him, I was like, oh shit, something's gonna happen to him. Obviously, you get a person of fairly good stature in Canada. They're gonna die, or they're gonna be there. I thought it was a really interesting premise, getting future Pike coming back to talk to stupid current Pike who's trying to save his future. Who wouldn't want to save himself and these kids, especially after Una's like, maybe your future is something that you can, change, unlike what Sarah Connor has taught everyone. Oh no, that's what Sarah Connor taught us. Yeah. And as much as I loved the time travel aspect, I watched this show with my daughter. So as soon as we started watching this, she's like, I have no idea what time, like the whole idea of time travel. And she was fine most of the season, except for, episode 9 was a little scary. But I think I spent a lot of the time explaining time travel, which was fun. But the acting, again, in this sequence is phenomenal, especially just from Pike hearing the name of this kid, and then he sort of looks like he's gonna throw up, it's just like,
which is great to the kid, right? It was like, you're my hero,
and the kid, even the kid himself was such a good actor.
I have to abandon this room.
Because you can see his heart breaking. He's like, my hero is about to throw up because I started talking to him.
That's like enough for him not to join Starfleet.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, that'll put him off.
I'm hoping he does write him a letter being like, I'm sorry I acted like that. Please come. It would be nice.
Yeah.
Instant promotion to lieutenant.
Just
and a red shirt.
I don't think I've been so excited about what was going to happen in an episode after, this intro section of the show before the actual main credits. Because the possibilities of seeing marooned Pike and just being, oh fuck, they're gonna go here. We're gonna see something that we don't really see anymore. This is gonna be something special, and it was. Cock.
So, seeing Admiral Pike was amazing, and that especially the maroon. I'm so
Admiral Pike. Admiral Pike. He tests me. Sorry, I really had to. I'm sorry.
I'm so glad they went Wrath of Khan uniform and not TMP uniform.
Oh.
Though that would have been fun.
I'm sure at some point they will bring
Pajamas for everybody.
Pajamas for everyone.
Carpet everywhere.
This was a really amazing way of like bringing the whole angle of Pike and his upcoming or his future accident and that to a head, because it's been this theme that's been running throughout the whole season, and that for an episodic television series, and that is the one kind of main storyline that they're pursuing, and I think they pretty much brought it to a close with this really well. I love the interaction with him and his future self and that, because it's like he's like, I know enough to not instantly just trust that you're who you say you are, and that. And he's like, when we were 8 years old, we had a pony named Sir Nasalot.
Sir Nasalot.
Sir Nasalot.
Sir Nasalot.
Such a tragic story with such a horrible name.
Silly name, yeah.
That's so Chris Pike, though.
Totally.
He learned and named his next horse Tango, so everything is good in the world. So.
And the fact that that at this point in his life he knew that the only way he could have stopped this is to go back, and that he went and consulted the priests on Borath again, and brought a time crystal. I like how fluid time travel rules are with each kind of series that you delve into. It depends on which, where, if it's Marvel and that, we get the rules, explain them. So I like that kind of jump into like his future self and that, using the time crystal. I thought it was a great little device, and I love the way this whole thing played out.
I want to put out in the universe one thing. I will give money to see Ethan Peck in the TMP uniform. I've been thinking about this since you said it.
You have
He's
some
like
dirty
barely-
thoughts about that.
He's like
Such
barely
dirty thoughts.
fitting in his uniform right now. I feel he cannot move. He cannot move. The guy cannot breathe in it. He's gonna blow up. And I'm like, TMP uniforms. They're stretchy.
Interesting.
They get so much hate, but like, dude, Kirk's little like short sleeve like yacht captain thing, like
Looks comfy.
mid-movie is so good. Like, I want one.
Totally.
Just slide into Bernadette's DMs, man.
Hey.
Listen, I have an innocent proposal.
I know you're done season 2, but season 3?
Season 3? Why not?
It was not our idea. We will sign an NDA. Just saying. Over on Twitch, Scavengist says, I agree this episode was very entertaining, but super stress-inducing for me. I couldn't do Starfleet, lol. We've had this discussion a lot on the pod, whether we can handle Starfleet. I forget what the answers are at this
Dude,
point.
I
We've done
can
so many
barely
episodes.
handle my
Yeah,
own
I
life
don't
right
know if I
now.
can
I
do
can
it.
do stuff any day.
I feel like if we were on the lower decks of Cerritos, we'd be fine.
Yeah, we
Yeah. Stacking crates
Stacking
and stuff.
boxes.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
we have people from like the cast and crew who listen to the pod. We're doing okay. Like, we're doing okay. Little above lower decks, maybe like lieutenant junior grade. I don't know.
I want to be one of the Black Romulans.
There you go.
Yes.
I accept that.
Hell yeah.
I really liked how Pike just showed up as like, you'll find a way to write it eventually. Trust me. And this is such like a little minor thing, but like I loved that older Pike's southern drawl got like even more intense. Like he just finally became an admiral and like really let it go. And I really like that. He was just like full on cowboy. And I was like, oh man, I'm getting Hell on Wheels vibes all over again. I love seeing the maroons. I know this isn't like really like details into the episode, but those things just made me so happy. Going into the details though, I do like when he's like, who do you think sent me? It's the fucking Klingons. And by the way, I'm saying this to you in nicer terms, like, you know, they like setting things with Batless, you know, usually first and ask questions later. Meaning like they were just gonna fucking off Pike. And Pike was like, hey, let me go deal with me. I think I could get him to see the light.
That's some
really
grandfather paradox confusion there.
Totally.
It
Yeah,
really is.
really is.
It really is. But it was a great moment, and I loved everything about it. Let's keep going because once Pike's like, all right, well, obviously I have to see what's going on. He touches the crystal and transported years into the future, a little over 7 years, about 6 months after the accident's supposed to take place. The future Enterprise, and immediately the outpost that we see at the beginning of this episode, Outpost 4, is in trouble, and things start to get very, ooh, I've seen this before. There's been an attack, and Enterprise goes to investigate. Pike immediately fills Spock in via a mind meld. Did you guys think that Pike just filling Spock in immediately works for the story? Like, was that the right and necessary thing to do?
I think that it's always necessary to fill Spock in on stuff because he's going to help you with any situation. And he also pretty much can believe anything, and not in a way that he's gullible, but just like, okay, this seems right. You're acting weird. You don't like know where people are, like positions where people are in their lives. And so I think he would have been asking questions anyway. And so I always prefer when crews are more open and candid about their situations, especially time travel stuff, because that clears up so much confusion of like, why are you acting so different? And Spock would have caught that really quickly. So I thought it was really effective. I also just think like Spock is going to handle things well. And I think that he was able to like sort of change his actions based on, okay, this is a Pike from years previous. Like we need to figure this out. I loved it. I think that it's really important for their characterization as well, for the two of them to get closer. And I think that they got really close in this time frame, which was cool to see.
Yeah. Well said.
I have to say that the moment where, so it starts with the neutral zone. So I was like, yeah, they name drop the Romulans, yeah. But then like there's the wedding, and at the moment he's like, and there's like, I threw a shoe through the room, and I was like, "They're doing balance of terror!" And I started like screaming like an unholy possessed woman, and so like that like precise like moment where he does the wedding and he says a line, I was like, no fucking way we're gonna see the Romulans, like And I think, by the way, the woman who's getting married is Gia Sandu's sister, I think.
What?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's so cool.
Yes,
Okay.
Sandu. So somebody fact check me, but they have the same last name. I think it's kind of like too much of a coincidence. So
I'm gonna read MC's comment real quick. I could feel Giraffe watching me across the continent, waiting for me to understand. It was balance of terror.
Dude, like, first of all, like, yeah. Anyway, so so then when he feels like Spock's in, it makes me laugh because Spock like just mind melts with everybody, anything, a door, a wall, a horda,
A whale,
like a
Just
whale,
the air. Yeah.
air, and I like this for him. You know, I respect it. I respect that. It's like Spock 7 years in the future, and he's like, yeah, sure, I'll mind meld with you. Like, just let me kneel in front of you. Like, let's see this. So it's like kind of fitting for the US era Spock.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was really necessary, to be honest. I don't really know what it brings to the plot because I don't think they do anything with it.
Yeah, they kind of, I think they like forgot about it halfway through or something.
Kinda.
Yeah.
But why not? Why not? You know, why
mind
not?
meld's a mind meld.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
What's the worst a mind meld could do? Looking at you, Tuvok. That was
True.
a little bit of a deep cut. With,
Yeah.
No, I got it.
you
I
got
got
it.
it. Yeah.
Eric.
I thought it was a good way to do it, the mind meld, but I thought it was weird that he wouldn't disclose any of all of this, you know, him knowing his future to him in the 7 years that they worked together. They seem so close, like at least from how they interacted in Disco season 2 and even this season. So it felt weird that he wouldn't have said anything in those 7 years working together. I do like the idea that we know that we're gonna get 7 seasons.
Can I interrupt you?
Yeah,
Real quick? He does know though.
Yeah.
Spock knows.
really
Pike tells him.
remember
Pike tells him in the
episode, I
very
think.
first episode.
Yeah, that's what I thought,
He
but it
doesn't go
seemed
into like
weird.
crazy detail.
Yeah.
But he's just like, I know what's gonna happen.
I meant like I thought he would like disclose it all.
Like the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
with Una.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he did, yeah, with Una. I like that they said this is 7 years in the future, so we know that hopefully we get 7 seasons, like a good Star Trek show.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Make it 7.
Make it 7.
Make it
or 6 in a
7
movie.
shot.
6
I
in
think
a series of movies.
Podcast going, please.
Wait, we're gonna do that
Oh my
for
God.
7 years?
Are you fucking kidding? I'm not going anywhere.
I'm gonna be dead in 7 years.
Eric's
Ah,
I'll be dead. No, what was I? Outpost 4 is in trouble. Yeah, no, like Giraffe said, like as soon as they went to the wedding, I was like, oh, is this that couple that keeps dying? They'll never be together. At least this time it was the I don't know why I said at least. This time the girl died at the end instead of the guy. And I remember when I watched Balance of Terror the first time, I was like, she seems weirdly okay that he died. Maybe she didn't want to get married.
Maybe dodged a bullet. Dodged a photon torpedo.
What I really appreciated, like just from the wedding moving forward, they started using lines from Balance of Terror, and you're sitting there like, it's very eerily like the same. Like there are times when they're just lifting that script, but like remixing it a little bit, but enough to be like, oh shit, this is a big what if episode. Like Marvel did great with their what if series. Like I would be down watching a Star Trek what if. Ooh, an animated
Totally.
Star Trek what if.
Short treks.
Wait, I'm gonna interrupt
Literally.
you. It's true, I forgot this. In the TOS era, if you got married, the girl had to leave Starfleet. It's the 60s, man.
Fucking
That seems
60s,
weird.
man.
I don't like that.
Hate that.
The attack on Outpost 4 was fantastic. They made that set look like an updated version of Balance of Terror. Even the fire that looked sort of cheesy back in the day still looked a little bit cheesy now. When Ali Hassan died and he flipped around, I died laughing the first
Same.
time.
It was.
That was incredible.
It was too
That
funny.
incredible. I was like,
How much like TOS can we make this look? Can we make him do a silly flip? Yeah, we can make that happen. Okay,
Yeah.
let's do that. guys.
It's like a bowling pin. Like it was not good.
That being said, that really cheesy effect got to coincide with a really cool plasma like ball effect that that updated version, and then seeing the Romulan bird of prey, seeing that for the first time again, and just that updated sheen of Strange New World, everything just made me happy.
the sound of the decoding.
Yes.
too
I
was
went
like,
ahead of
"Whoa."
a question. I'm
Chills.
sorry, Julian. I got too excited about that.
You went a little ahead. That's
Yeah.
okay. That's fine. This is an exciting episode.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
I'm done because I went into the next one.
Go ahead.
So yeah, I'm like Giraffe and Eric and that. So as soon as I saw the wedding, I was like, oh, okay.
Mhm.
You know, we've seen weddings before on
Mhm.
Star Trek, but it's like this couple looks eerily familiar, and these words sound eerily familiar. I
Yeah.
kind of had that. I must have had that same kind of little moment that Pike was having in that when he was up there. And then when the red alert kicked in, I was like, oh wait, I know where this is going. As to Spock, yes, he absolutely had to fill Spock in on what was happening. First of all, he's the only one he could have filled in at that moment, and everybody else would have just thought he was just mentally unbalanced, which was the first thing Spock thought. You know, let's get you to sick bay.
He
We'll run
just
some
wanted
scans.
the chair, man.
He kind of did. And he's like, okay, let's mind melt. And he's like, yep. And as soon as he mind melted that, he needed to inform Spock, because really, like, he was not sure why he was there, you know, or what he was supposed to do while he was there. And Spock was the one who pretty much helped him clarify what he was, you know, there to do. He wasn't there to change the future. He was there to see what the future would look like if he changes his past. And as Spock tells him, that you must do exactly as you would do. So,
Yeah, I think Spock being filled in is perfect. Doing it via mind meld just saves all the like, there's something wrong with you, Captain, and everybody just giving him weird looks throughout the episode. It works perfectly. I also like, and this is getting like deeper into the episode too, but Ethan Peck was talking about on the Ready Room today that this is the Spock that we're supposed to know and see in TOS. So he played it how he hasn't been playing in Stranger Worlds a little bit. He's been playing Spock more emotional because he's still not like quite, you know, up to grip with his human and Vulcan sides, and, you know, finding that kind of balance. So he plays it like he's basically really committed to you know, logic, and later on doing Kolinar. And that was very noticeable how straight he played Spock. Like the minute that Pike walks onto the bridge and he's like, what's the situation? And Spock doesn't even look at him, which is just, it's not like a diss. It's just a Spock thing. He just goes, Lieutenant Uhura can fill you in. And I was just like, okay, Spock, like this is TOS Spock. So him doing the mind meld, it's not even a question. He doesn't even get emotional. I was like, okay, you have this terrible weight. Let's figure out what's going to happen. I thought it worked perfectly. Eric, I know that you got into it, and it was exciting seeing the bird of prey. The destruction of the outpost was literally like almost shot for shot. Balance of terror. And Eric, I know you kind of already said it, but like for the rest of you, like how soon did you know in the episode that this was the route that they were going, that this is going to be Balance of Terror? And do you guys think that it's a good choice to end this show's first season? Like that's a pretty big risk to take.
Yeah, I have to admit, it literally like took Ashlyn telling me halfway through. I was like texting her in all caps, just like, what is going on? You know, like we're just freaking out as we usually do. If we're not watching the episode together, we're like live stream texting each other the entire time. And she had already seen it, so she was just like waiting for me to text things to her. And so I was like, I just feel so dumb. Like I know this episode, but I don't. And so it was really nice to have my sister there to be like, oh yeah, it's this one. I got you. And I think it's because like I have not seen all of original series since I was like first watching it in middle school, you know? And so I have not seen this episode in so long. And so I was so happy to go back today and watch them back to back to sort of pair them together. And I think it just gave me so much more of a understanding of just the beauty of this episode, and the ways that they were so delicately weaving everything together was just phenomenal. And I think though, like at least watching it with my partner, she has seen snippets of Trek, like she's watching Discovery from the beginning. She's seen season 4 with me. We're watching all of Strange New Worlds together. She's seen a couple seasons of Deep Space Nine, like virtually no TOS. And so, it was really, really cool getting to watch it with her as well, because she has a completely different perspective of like the show in general.
Yeah,
and so I'm over here screaming about random uniforms and like about like certain characters and everything. And she's like, when like, I'm just giving you a head a little, but like when Paul Wesley came on, she's like, isn't that the Vampire Diaries guy? And I'm like, that's Kirk. You know, so like we just have completely different ways we're watching this show, which is so fun. And so she got to watch a little bit of Balance of Terror with me today because it's her day off from work. And so that was really cool, because she's like, looked around just like, wait, isn't this, where's Pike? I was like, no, this is like the OG episode. So it was cool that even those, like she was hearing the same lines and just assuming I was already watching Strange New Worlds. So that shows you like how carefully they thought of everything. But honestly, like not knowing it was Balance of Terror for half the episode made it feel a little bit stilted and weird to me. Like I was like, why is the dialogue written like this? Like it is so different than how it's been written. And then I was like, oh, it's literally TOS dialogue. Like they just, like we were saying, you know, took it from, almost pretty much lifted it from the page. And I thought that was so clever. But I think definitely for a viewer who doesn't super remember Balance of Terror or just hasn't seen it, I think that it just created a little bit of chaos for my brain, because the writing was so different. And I'm a writer, so I'm always looking for the writing first. So it was definitely interesting, but like such a reward to go and rewatch it again, to then like appreciate the episode in a whole new level.
It's a great point too, because I mean, you do know how, like you do have to know Star Trek pretty damn well to immediately go, oh, okay. Because listen, like there are a lot of new Star Trek fans out there who started with Discovery, you know, and that's 2017. Some people haven't gone back and watched all of it yet, and especially TOS. Some people just because of like Shatner and other 60s bullshit, just like,
totally,
you know what? I don't need that in my life. So yeah, it could definitely leave some casual viewers more confused.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting point. Giraffe.
So I'm a TOS stan, right?
Yeah, you are.
And I think my favorite episode is the Enterprise incident, but I love Balance of Terror. I actually have an original script of Balance of Terror with original art from when it was on TV. People would like draw Mark Leonard and pass these drawings in fanzine. So this is for me one of the key episodes of TOS. I think that's really an episode where they got respect for what they were doing, because it's an incredible episode. It's so well written. It's so Shakespearean. It grabs you, even with all the weird 60s effects and so on. It's one of these TOS episodes where you cannot stop watching because you need to know what the fuck is going to happen. So right away, when I realized that it was Balance of Terror, it was the most beautiful day of my life, right? Because I've been on, and I think it was on Where's Bev, you know, the podcast, and they asked me, what do you want to see on A Strange New World? And I was like, Romulans. I want to see Romulans. And they were like, you cannot see Romulans in Strange New World. It's before Balance of Terror, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, let me dream. And then everybody's
Wait a
asking
week.
me, like, oh my God. I was like, yes, I got what I want. But I do think it's a perfect episode because it puts Strange New World in Star Trek Legacy. And we've said we want, you know, background stories to Amok Time. We want background stories to What Our Little Girls Made Of, which is the episode with Chappelle and Roger Corby and so on, for people who have not watched TOS. But so the idea was, we're gonna see Strange New World like giving us all the back info on Uhura, on Chappelle, of all like these people that we don't know so much about. But I've never thought that they would like modernize some episode, which I think they kind of did in a very elegant way and very interesting way, and in a way too that puts them in the legacy of like this great moment in Star Trek. I think it's one of my favorite I've seen that maybe 3 times during this season. But it's incredibly well written. It's so well done. And I think too it's a very important episode because Balance of Terror works. It's one of these TOS episodes that works only with Kirk. And I think that's what they wanted to prove, right? That we love Pike. And a lot of people have been like dead in love with that series, being like, oh, we're on Pike forever. We're on Pike forever for Kirk. But somehow they still, at the first season, prove, yes, but TOS is very important. And I like this because I like TOS. Eric, tag you it.
Hi. I did give some
from Nero.
I did give some I saw it happen. Don't tell me it didn't happen. Sorry, Hawk, I stole your thunder with that. I gave a little bit of my thoughts earlier about the Outpost 4 destruction, but I think what going off what Giraffe said about updating this legacy is when we see Pike enter the bridge and we see the changes of the crew, like who would have stayed with Pike and who would have left when Kirk made the captain there. It was interesting. And seeing Ortegas in that role of the
it's a Chekhov role. It's
no,
where Chekhov normally-
no, sorry, I meant the role in Balance of Terror where that
the bigot
guy. Where
Yeah.
I remember Giraffe saying a couple weeks ago, like Kirk said to that guy, you know, get off the bridge if you're gonna be like that, be racist. But seeing Ortegas at this point where she's so on edge.
I think you're answering another question again.
Did I? Yeah. Where did I miss this?
A little bit.
Anyway, that's part of the
on a roll.
I sorry, I did see the Ortegas thing. I thought that was earlier. God damn it. That being said, I thought the destruction of this was neat. Like it I mean, let me make sure we don't talk about this. Pike in the chair, Kirk on something. I did read it, but I did. I read it skim.
I'm kidding.
Like Jeff said, like having Kirk and Pike, two different captains, play off each other, and even in the whole episode, you see them butting heads about different strategies, and then you see Pike. I know this comes later, but you see Pike come to terms with how Kirk would have done things and how ingenious he was at times, despite the whole William Shatner shit. It was such a good way. Even having Sam just come on and be like, my brother is crazy, sort of, but he's a good captain and he's probably one of the best. I think that's cool.
Nice.
I'm gonna read this while you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, do that.
So I forget the question. We're asking like if them updating
Balance of Terror, yeah.
Updating it and that. I think
was it good for the season? Like, was it good to end the season this way?
it was such a risk for them to do this now, because we've seen what happens when you dip your toes into, you know, some of the older franchise and try and modernize it, and that, you know, Star Trek Into Darkness. It has a potential to fail spectacularly.
Okay, listen, I feel attacked on this podcast indirectly. I'm gonna just say that.
Never.
Wasn't this couple the couple that got married in Beyond too?
Yeah, and they died
Yeah.
too. Yep. They're just
That's right.
Don't get married in
They're just
Starfleet. Listen, don't do it.
Don't do it.
But the way they managed to pull this off was nothing short of brilliant. You know, and yes, like the Balance of Terror it's not just a great Star Trek episode, it's probably one of the best episodes of sci-fi television like ever written. In that, you know, its whole premise was like based around like, you know, submarine combat, and it's like even with its like, you know, like limited effects back in those days, and that it's still one of the most tense episodes you're ever going to watch, and that we're involving two ships. And you know, the fact that it's probably going to be our only contact with the Romulans in the entirety of this series.
Don't break Draft's heart, man.
No, why do you say things like this? Julian, why does he say things
Nobody
like this?
has seen. Nobody will see them for the next 7 years.
True.
I don't have that kind of power. If I mute him, that mutes everybody. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Giraffe, but you know, we have to face facts. Pike had to face facts in this episode.
No,
you have
Enterprise
to face
incident
facts.
is 3 years after. 3 years after. What did you say?
Ooh.
Oh my god.
Can I add one more thing?
Yes, absolutely.
Last week's episode felt like such a good finale that for them to take a chance with this was such a balls move, man. And I'm glad they did it because it really sets the stakes for the whole series moving forward.
Totally.
I'm gonna skip my thoughts on it going full Balance of Terror because I thought it was wonderful, and they obviously they stuck the landing and then some. Like better, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But, before I digress, and again, yeah, I love the fact that they kept a lot of the old lines in that, especially Spock's lines in that when they're at, you know, when giving his evaluation of the Romulans, and that it was word for word, and it was perfect because like I love the original script when he's talking about how they were the offshoot of Vulcans and that's still in their aggressive colonizing period.
Yes, that scene is so good in both.
And some
both
shots,
episodes. Yeah.
some shots are similar too. When he's
Yeah.
looking in the visor and with the light on his face. Yeah.
Just the attack on the base was, like Julian said, pretty much shot for shot.
Yeah, totally.
This is what I really want to talk about because it did excite me, and I grew. Listen, like, am I like a William Shatner stan? No. Am I Captain Kirk stan? Yeah. I love Captain Kirk. So the first act of the series, this finale, does give us our first look at Paul Wesley as Captain James T. Kirk, but not Captain of the Enterprise, Captain of the USS Farragut. I just like I'm just gonna say it real quick. Like, I loved his intro, but I wanted to get your guys' thoughts. Like, James T. Kirk. Enough said. Rhianna, hit it.
Totally. I really agree with you, Julian. Like, not Shatner, but like Kirk, you know, I mean, there's such a difference, you know, obviously. So it's so funny because if you would have asked me last night when I watched, or like when I was watching this episode, I just feel so different than how I felt watching it again today with Paul Wesley, because I think first I was weirdly wanting more Shatner because this is prime timeline. Like, we're not looking at a Kelvin Kirk here. We're not looking at Chris Pine. And so the fact that he was so serious and didn't do a lot of the like emphasis on certain words, you know,
there
and
were a
stuff
couple
like
pauses
that.
near the
All
end.
the commas everywhere. Commas.
Comma.
Again.
Yeah. So I was kind of expecting, like, it's because it's so interesting. We've been seeing all of these different actors playing beloved characters we know from the original series already, and all of them are doing phenomenal. And so I'm just expecting it to be like carbon copy Kirk at first, and then found myself being like, I'm confused. Like, what is this Kirk trying to do for us? You know, and then watching Balance of Terror. And honestly, like, as a person who loves Kirk, the versions of Kirk I really love are the versions where he's like literally walking books, like Gary Mitchell calls him, you know, or even Sam saying like he was top of the academy. Like, I kind of love that we get more of this Kirk, because we don't get to see him a lot. We see what Sam says about him being a charmer and being like, you know, the womanizer that he is so much in TOS, that walking books Kirk is like my favorite kind. And so the fact that then I realized, holy shit, this is the Kirk that we're getting for this era, you know, and for this tense situation. Like, yeah, we could probably see Paul Wesley in other instances where he's getting to like flirt up some people or do more Shatner-esque stuff, but this is not really like the time to be overacting, you know? And so I think once I realized that and was able to come to terms with that, it made me like him a lot more and just appreciate that he is playing a different Kirk and from like a weird timeline, you know, that isn't quite correct. And Pike is sort of just seeing it through. And so I thought this was such a cool addition. And the fact that he doesn't super look like Shatner doesn't really bother me, because like people look different when they're younger and like things, you know, are different. And that's totally fine. I think that he did a fabulous job.
You know that tweet that says Leonard Nimoy and Spock would have been friends, and Shatner and Kirk would be fist fighting on the on Applebee's parking lot. I
Totally.
so much while watching this episode. I was like, yeah. As Rhianna said, I'm here for book nerd Kirk. You know, I love the idea, especially that everybody thinks Picard is like the, you know, the book nerd when he was like saying in the academy, getting stabbed in the heart and so on. When Kirk was like the nerd guy, like of the academy and so on. And I'm really glad they give us this a little bit more. I think his interpretation was like a right balance between Shatner and Pine, and I really liked what he did. I like the fact that he doesn't look like them. Because you know what, whatever. Celia Rose Gooding doesn't look like Zoe Saldana nor Nichelle Nichols. Like, so what? No, I really like what he did. I like the brio, because that's Kirk, you know, the I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do something insane, but it's gonna work.
But you know what I liked
that
about that, Giraffe? I like that. I like that with like what you're just saying. He absolutely believes it, and you don't have anybody questioning him except for Pike, really. So he's very sure of himself, and his crew is too.
The balls on that man when he like comes out of the fucking transporter room where his ship is like blowing up, and he's like, "We need to talk." I was like, "Go get it, boy. Go get it." I like the energy. I think he's promising, and I do think he has like kind of like that magnetic pull that you see on Kirk in TOS. That it's that kind of he's brilliant, he's crazy, he's charming, but he has your back. And I think that's a great charismatic captain right here, and I can't wait to see more of him. I was not into him at the beginning. Now I warmed up.
Nice. I thought it was fantastic. I like that him and Pine and they both all have the essence of Kirk, without having to, you know, be Shatner. And he was such a good strategist in this, and we don't think about that when we think of Kirk. We think of him, or at least now that in hindsight, we think of, you know, Shatner being pause guy all the time, but he was actually really a good captain. Very like Jara said, he was very energetic and very charismatic. He had that cowboy diplomacy that
totally.
And seeing two cowboys go at it with each other was really good, and like they both had different takes on it, which you could tell that like just the energy between them was fantastic. Like they played off each other so well, Pike and Kirk. And oh man, just him thinking about him strategizing, like thinking outside of the box, is what I think of when I think of Kirk. He's the one that he's the one that will just do something, might be bad, but hopefully they'll get it done. And that's the Kirk way. And I'm looking forward to Paul Wesley coming back in season 2. I don't know how they're gonna integrate the Farragut, but maybe that's where La'an is right now while she's doing her off mission. So that'd be neat. Yeah. I like him. I really like him. I'm looking forward to him. I didn't really know him from Vampire Diaries. Is that
Yeah.
one? Yeah. But I like that they used one of his photos from back in that day as a young Kirk later.
I wanted to say that we see the file for James T. Kirk at the end, and we see the photo of Hammer too during the funeral, and like these picture look like exactly the picture you would have like as a freshman. You look like nothing. Why they cannot recognize anybody? It's because they just update files. They all look 18 on the pictures.
True.
They just need to screenshot all their video calls, man. Come on.
So I guess I'm up next. Yeah, like when I'd never heard of this guy before, and then I heard like, oh, he was in the Vampire Diaries, and that meant absolutely nothing to me. This is kind of my first interaction with the actor in that, and he was great, and it was nice that he played the character and not the actor. He didn't try and do Shatner and that. And yeah, everybody raises great points in that. Like as far as Kirk goes, in that Kirk was a genius. Like the fact that he was so young and already captaining a ship and that. I mean, this was like he's captaining the Farragut, like, and at this point, it's like he should have had the Enterprise.
Yeah,
right out of the academy too, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And we see why he was kind of like the perfect captain for that situation of balance and terror, and that because he was a master strategist, and that he made great leaps. He listened to his crew. He listened to Spock, and he managed to make those leaps of logic and perfectly analyze the situation, and that diplomacy was not going to work. Were dealing with a species they had little to no contact with, the boogeymen of the quadrant, and he knew he was just the right captain for that moment, and that was kind of the point of this episode, was that as much as we love Pike and his the way he will always try and find a way to find peace in that and find that compromise, and that there is a certain person needed in certain moments, and Kirk was that person needed in this particular moment.
Anyway. Sorry, Hawk, go ahead.
I know. I think that's it. Yeah.
I was going to read Haven's comment. Wasn't Prime Kirk the youngest captain ever? I know Kelvin Kirk was. Yes, even in the Prime timeline, Kirk is the youngest captain ever. Giraffe kind of said it perfectly about like how Paul Wesley played this. Like I said this about Pike in this episode as well, because both of them had this, but for both of them, it was like big dick energy, right? Like they both had that, like the Chris Pike big dick energy that we've known throughout this season and in Discovery now. Like dude's willing to take risks. Like, you're gonna contact the Romulans? Shit, okay. Like that's like they just want to blow you up, but okay, man. And Kirk's like, well, shit. Like I just want to blow them out of the sky. Like it's two different versions, but I was really hoping that after William Shatner endorsed Paul Wesley, that wasn't because Paul Wesley was going to do the pause and this and this is no bullshit. Like this is maybe my favorite Kirk. Chris Pine's fine. Shatner, I actually like Shatner more in the movies than in TOS. Like I loved Paul Wesley. I thought he was really good, and I feel like I'm just going to repeat what everyone else said, but Hawk saying that he played the character, not the actor, like damn straight. He everything about him was James T. Kirk without being Chris Pine and without being William Shatner. And like Eric said, I'm just going to say something that each one of us said. I cannot wait for season 2. I cannot wait for season 2 because it's going to be a different version of him, right? Like I'm stoked for more Paul Wesley and Captain Kirk. And I know people are like, well, is he going to take over the show? No. Stop it.
No.
It's a Pike show. It doesn't mean we can't have Captain Kirk either.
You have Captain Kirk show. It's called TOS. Go watch it. It's very
literally
good.
We're not getting a TOS reboot, people.
Or any
Don't
movies.
worry.
Would he be an
And many movies. So many movies.
Would he be an ensign at this point?
No, he's a lieutenant. At
Lieutenant?
this point.
Okay,
He's
I couldn't remember.
Oh, he's a lieutenant,
I took
yeah.
a screenshot of his file. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let's go on to Act 2. We spent a long time on Act 1, but that's okay. This is going to be a long episode. This is a great episode of television. Act 2.
It was an hour long too.
It
So.
was. It was a 62-minute
so long.
episode. So
Nail
we're going to have
biter,
a long
man.
pod tonight.
Totally.
Speaking of that, though, 62 minutes went by in like half an
2
hour.
minutes.
Too fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insane.
Totally.
Act 2 is really just we're just shoving Balance of Terror down your throat in the best possible way. Pike's in the chair and Kirk is on another ship. We see the Romulans for the first time the same exact way that we see them in TOS, through really weird sci-fi shit that doesn't make sense, but we like it anyway. There's the suspicion of Spock from Ortegas, who's, like we mentioned earlier, being in that bigot role. And then everybody just wants to attack them, including Spock's like, fuck it, let's kill them too. Like, I don't trust them. They're bad. They're the bad Vulcans.
Bad Vulcan.
They're unevolved.
Good
They even
Vulcan.
do this teachings
Bad.
of Sirach.
So everybody kind of like, goes with Pike because he's the captain. He's like, we're gonna do this pincer move and disable them and not destroy them. Just thoughts on that Romulan reveal being so close to Balance of Terror, and then obviously them deciding to do this pincer plan.
Yeah, this was so cool. I really liked that we get a briefing room scene as well, because we haven't, I mean, we do get those, but they're so common in TOS that it was really fun to see Pike
And TNG.
literally.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So like
So
literally
many.
every episode, they're just like in the briefing room. And so that was really cool to see. Also just like how Pike is so perceptive and like also willing to listen to everybody. I thought it was really interesting too that M'Benga was like the only other person pretty much siding with Pike and being like, nah. I mean, it makes sense. He's a doctor. Obviously, he's trying not to do any harm to anyone. And so that was really fascinating. And I love the fact that Spock in both in Balance of Terror and in this is, like you said, adamant, let's give him the Vulcan hello, essentially. He's literally saying like, this is the way to deal with the Romulans. And this is like, they are as savage as humans used to be. And I'm like, like, I just love the way that we're using the same lines. We're using this briefing room scene.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like that it was Ortegas who had to fill this role. I think that it could have been really cool if maybe we had more of a backstory of like, maybe Ortegas had a family member who was killed by the Romulans, or a loved one on the outpost, or I don't know. It just felt so out of left field for Ortegas's character. And maybe this is the point. Like, we're supposed to be learning more facets about different characters and things. And I know this is technically an alternate timeline, but it just was so unsettling to me. And I think that's the point, but I'm not happy about it. Like, I don't want this, of course, to be happening on the Enterprise and to my favorite character ever, Spock. Like, that is just not good. Do not talk to him like that. And so, I thought that it would have been really cool if Pike had done like there's no bigotry allowed on the bridge quote to sort of like continue that. And it was kind of interesting that it wasn't the same, because I'm like, wow, Kirk and Pike have like kind of different mentalities in like dealing with bigotry, which was so fascinating. But yeah, I think that this briefing room scene was really phenomenal, and also just such a cool way to show how like you can be doing the same things with completely different captains. Like, they'll still make mostly the same decisions. And it really reminded me actually of Deadlock and Voyager, with the two different Voyagers, and their paths start diverging once one of the Voyagers makes a different decision than the other. And so I was really sort of taking in that as well, because it's really similar, and it's reminding me that like, you can be following the same path for so long, and one divergence can completely change everything. And of course, I just thought it was really fascinating that Pike was like determined that it was Kirk's fault. Like, he was really adamant about it being like, this is totally on Kirk. I have to stop him. And like, did not take a second to think that it could have been him that messed up the timeline, even though his future self told him that. So I just thought that like kind of arrogance from Pike was really interesting. And this episode, we really just got more insight into maybe the like uglier sides of characters and the things that are more difficult to deal with when dealing with people and interacting. So just really fascinating.
It's a great point. It's a really great point.
I didn't like Ortegas either, but after like I watched the episode maybe 3 or 4 times right now. I think it's okay, because sometimes people's are jerk on like weird stuff. So they're great people,
True.
but like on one fucking topic, they're gonna be like absolutely out of line. And I was like, you know what? It brings it gives the character more like complication. I don't know.
True.
And sure, I want to know what happened to Ortega because I like Ortegas. But two, I think it's time that we normalize that some people are fucking jerks. Like, they don't have a horrible Anakin Skywalker backstory to excuse them from being jerks. And
True.
sometimes, like, the bigot in TOS is just an asshole. And that's why Kirk is like, you do that in your quarter, you don't do that on my bridge, I don't want to know, you know. I think it was great that Pike didn't do the bigot line, because I think I would have been like kind of angry at the not angry, but the whole point of the episode is to show that he's not Kirk, and that in this situation you need Kirk. And we saw him do the exact same thing with Sam Kirk on episode 9, when Sam Kirk goes berserk at Spock, and he's just like, quit it, stop it, I don't want to hear it. But he never tells nor Kirk nor Ortega's why they're out of line. And I think that's what I really like about Kirk. Is like, you're out of line, but you're out of line because you're a fucking bigot.
Exactly. Yeah. He's straightforward about it. Yeah.
He's straightforward. And I think it's like dwelling more on the Pike's character. It is a guy that wants to see the good in everybody. He wants to be able to access that good core inside of everybody, because he's an optimist. Right? I think to the core he is, and he believes in humans. He believes in people. He believes in his people too, and he believes even in the Roman commander he has never met. You know.
Yeah.
And I think it's like it's his strength, but it's his flaw too. His ultimate flaw. Yeah. And I know we're not gonna speak about like the little like discourse about like, you know, we can be friends that there is with the Romulans. So let me just like throw that in right now. But I'm going to go a little bit like anthropology for a minute. Sorry, I know we're going long, but that's a very important.
That's okay.
So the Vulcan Hello is actually anthropologically very good, because there are some cultures that are honor cultures, right? Like the Romulan and the Klingon, right? You have honor, you will fight, you do the thing right, and I will respect you in this. But then Starfleet and Western cultures very often are dignity culture, like ethical. You need to find the dignity, the good in people, and you need to act like a good person, right? And Kirk knows that. Like Michael knows that, like Spock knows that. The Romans are a honor culture. You need to shoot first, because if you don't, they will fuck you up. Michael and Sarek know that in the Vulcan Hello, and they don't do it, and it leads to a war. And the balance of in Quality of Mercy, they don't do it, and it leads to a war. And I think Kirk has this notion that sure, there's dignity in everybody, but there's not dignity in every situation. And the need of the many is a very important thing. And right now, the need of the many is to shoot that damn ship out. I love that. And I think it's fascinating, because that's how a great strength in a character actually becomes the biggest flaw. Like with Georgiou in the Vulcan Hello. She wants to respect the rules, and she ends up killing everybody, right? Indirectly. Yeah. So I think it's a beautiful episode too, because you can link the Vulcan Hello, you can link Balance of Terror, and you can link these culture in contact moments where they're not going to understand you and you have to play their game. And now the thing in the balance is the life of so many people, and you need to do the right choice. And I think it's very good to see that, yeah, Kirk can be an asshole, but he's a brilliant asshole, and he saves a lot of lives doing this. I'm done with my rant. It was not a rant.
Oh yeah,
it was a good rant.
But it was an epic rant.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be out my air.
I mean, no. I was gonna say the whole anthropology thing too. So you just took it all. No, okay. So what I appreciate about the boardroom scene is that we see Kirk's inner minds working throughout that whole meeting. And sort of in Balance of Terror, he was sort of like, let's just do this. We'll do this because I'm the captain. We're going to do these things. But him working things out with this crew was a really interesting way of seeing how Kirk was thinking, especially as a captain of the Farragut instead of the captain of the Enterprise, having to work with this other crew in this super tense situation. And we don't really get to see him, working things out with people, at least with another crew this way before. So seeing that was cool. Going off Ortega's, God bless Melissa Navia, because she did an amazing role. Like she did such a good job. I didn't mind her being the bigoted one because it felt like there was something that made her super angry. Like from the moment we see her, she's already like intensely stressed. And I don't know if we're supposed to get the feeling that throughout these 7 years there's something that happened, because she already seemed pissed off at Spock even before we saw the Romulans. Like there was tension between her and most of the crew. Like even with Pike, there was still a little bit of tension. So
think of Detmer, like the pressure they have, like being the helmsman is insane.
Especially during this,
somebody,
especially if bases are starting to disappear. Could you imagine? You're the one that's bringing the ship into that situation.
And Eric, I'm gonna let you keep going. I just want to read NY Relight's comment real quick, because he says it just felt forced that they needed Ortegas to play the Styles role, so they wrote her that way. And I don't necessarily agree that they wrote her that way. Ortegas has always been one in these 10 episodes who is very much like, I'm just gonna say like what's on my mind, and my captain knows enough most of the time that it's just who I am. So I don't think that she was written any differently. It was more like Ortegas to like times
the nth
10
degree,
to an
right?
extreme.
Like shit has been happening to her throughout these 7 years, and she's at this point where like a pin drop could set her off, and she played it that perfectly.
It's beer, folks, for those asking in the chat.
Everybody's like fascinated by what you're drinking over there.
Is it a pale a white beer?
It is. It's a double IPA. It's hazy. It's unfiltered, and it's called appropriately To the Moon, and it's got really cool stars. Stuff
Fly me to the moon, my friend.
Logo, so it's appropriate for tonight.
Thoughts on the Romulan reveal? Helmets, man.
Helmets,
and just seeing like the dingy little compartment that they're in, just like they had in a TOS. So it was everything I wanted in an updated version. And I love the Romulan reveal.
Eric picked up on my thought in that there was something like cold and a little bit distant in all the characters in that, and especially in their approach to Pike when he jumps in that. Obviously, he's still that same Pike who's still kind of like less than a year out of space dock and that after learning his fate. The crew loves him, he loves his crew and that, but for some reason everybody felt a little colder in this episode. Ortegas did, Spock did, and that's saying something too.
The only one that actually didn't was Jenna Mitchell.
And
I love her, by the way. Like low key, like unsung hero of this
she
season.
hit a bird of prey, like
that was so cool.
I don't really have too much more to say in that on this. I like that, that Pike basically still played Pike in that, it's like he knew he wasn't there to be somebody different or do something different in that, he took all the advice from the crew, but he still used, his best judgment in that, in the trying to, disable the Romulan ship and start talking to them, but it didn't work out.
Let's just keep going with this, right? Because the pincer plan doesn't work. Farragut gets destroyed. Kirk does his best attack pattern Tiberius forward.
So good.
It was awesome, but it didn't work. Pike kind of sticks to his guns after Farragut gets destroyed, and like Giraffe mentioned, he's just like, we need to have a talk. This is all your fault. And he's like, you know what? I could see your point, so let me take a risk now. Or we already talked about Ortega's getting nasty, but they come up with this plan. We get a small cameo during this part too, and I want to get everybody's opinion. Was this someone doing a really good Jimmy Doohan impression, or was this Jimmy Doohan being piped in?
It's an impression. I think so. I listened to it more.
I need to know. I want to know, because I'm on the fence of like, did they do the Prodigy thing, or did they?
No. It's somebody else.
Yeah.
I think they were credited. I saw it on Twitter somewhere.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Okay. I loved that so much. I know we had a whole big like, should they Scotty or shouldn't they last week, but if this is all we get, then this is
the showrunners announced this today. So Scotty is not going to be part of the crew. They have a new engineer next season. They're not going to say who it is.
It's Bruce Horak.
Could you? Oh my God!
I really hope it is
his twin brother.
I will say I know we're going way off topic.
We had twin Vulcans before. So
I know we're getting way off topic, but I just want to put some people's mind at ease. We are going to see more of Hemmer. Henry Alonso Meyer said that he's going to show up via flashbacks, and that
Force Ghost.
Force Ghost, and that we know this already. That Bruce Horak has a new role. He's going to basically be the new
Jeffrey Combs.
Jeffrey Combs.
So,
excellent.
So
Can I
Go ahead.
just put here, because like we spoke about the Romulans reveal, but it's a moment to sing the glory of Nami Melumed, who used the Romulan
Oh my
theme,
God.
and I yelled so hard. I was like,
The music, yes. Oh.
I mean,
And even musical cues from the episode itself, like Balance of Terror. I was
Yeah.
like, what the?
yes.
That's
Insane.
oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
The Romulan theme, I think, has not been this well used since Picard season 1.
And it was even
It was
better than Picard.
totally-
It was
season
better
one.
than
Oh, it's even
season
better
one.
because
Yeah.
it was
You
the
felt it.
legit
It, yeah.
like theme, and the
Mhm.
moment where they appear, it was perfect. It was
Perfect.
perfect.
the zoom in and then the zoom into Spock with his eyebrow. I was
He
like,
did the
Yeah.
thing.
oh,
He did
Yeah.
the
that's
thing.
my favorite thing. Yeah.
I got this. I got the Scotty voice actor. It's British actor Matthew Wolfe who provided the voice.
Alright.
That's it.
Thanks, man.
It was Matthew Wolfe.
Right?
Woo.
Well done.
Yeah.
Rhianna, your thoughts on this badass action sequence, Farragut getting destroyed, Jenna Mitchell clipping the Romulan bird of prey, and then Pike's risk of contacting the Romulan commander.
Yeah, I thought this was a really great way to do like the shift in the episode, because Balance of Terror is like episode 14, whatever. It's not a finale, you know, like this is not finale stakes. It's still, of course, very high and tensious in the original series, but they had to, in Strange New Worlds, make it more epic for a finale. And sometimes I get a little bit tired of space battles in Star Trek, particularly in Discovery. I can find myself kind of being like, okay, I can't really keep track of all these a million things going on, but I'm just gonna act like I am, you know, and like it's fine. But I found this one to be really intriguing. It didn't last too long. It wasn't like too much pew pew pew, you know. I think that it was just enough where I was still entertained and feeling like, okay, this has the weight of a finale. I feel the pressure here. Everyone's feeling the pressure. I also like, I really do like the person who played the Romulan, but I just like obviously always miss Mark Leonard. So like that, it's just hard because obviously no one can be Mark Leonard, but it was still really cool to see the different ways in which the Romulans were portrayed, and that awful snitch who like went and got the rest of the Romulan fleet. I was like, seriously, come on. But yeah, I just thought that the divergence in the paths were really cool, because then it did lead to this battle. It did lead to this crazy ceasefire. I also gotta say that Pike yelling is like very terrifying. I like was not okay with that. That was really scary for me. Like,
Teacher voice.
nope, did not like it. I had secondhand like fear. Yeah, it was not good.
The teacher voice.
We've never heard him be like that. And that was just, I just see him as this more gentle captain, and I just am not seeing him in that role.
But that's
So,
a really good
I
point,
mean,
Rhianna. Like what
he's
you're
a-
saying. Yeah.
yeah.
He's
Because go ahead,
a
Dre.
gentle captain. He's a gentle captain for gentle
Mhm.
times.
He is,
Ah,
but so
true.
you know when he does like bring it down, like, and he gets loud
Mhm.
like that, that's his like, oh, you fucked up voice.
Yeah,
so that's
like, you really know.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So I thought that this sequence was really cool. So glad that Kirk had a backup plan though. Like he caught it. He's like, can I go grab a shuttle? I'm like, yes, please go do what you need to do. Some crazy Kirk shenanigans. But yeah, I really appreciated that we got a bit of a battle, and then this interesting ceasefire, which I'm thinking, great idea. Like this is Starfleet, very like peaceful. And then I'm like, but clearly this is not the right answer, obviously, because we're already diverging from Balance of Terror here. So it's super interesting.
Yeah, the battle was super cool. First of all, because the decloaking bird of prey is so
Yes.
fucking cool, man. The sound, I love it. And I play Star Trek Online as a Romulan, though. And I fly a bird of prey, and I was like, oh, they're gonna do that. Oh, that's a torpedo. Oh, they're gonna like. Now I feel like every space battle to the core because of that game. I have to say. And I was never like into space battles, but because of Star Trek Online now, it's like my second nature, right?
Yeah.
And the ceasefire was like, the conversation was very, very good. I loved the reveal. I loved the uniforms. I spoke about the uniform with Bernadette Croft when she was here before, like she got on the podcast, and the work they did to adapt these like weird 60s uniform into something modern, but with like some TNG with the shoulders, right? But darker. It's like gorgeous. The theme was amazing, and I'm gonna butcher his name, so I'm very sorry. The Roman commander is played by Matthew McFadzean. I think it's pronounced. I'm very sorry, but I was expecting like everybody on Twitter to see James Frayne.
We were having that whole conversation, right? It's like, oh man, it would have been really cool if it's James Frayne, but like, it's good that it's not.
I'm
gonna
happy to
confuse
do
a lot
that.
of people who have never watched TOS. You imagine it's like, wait, is that Spock's dad?
Just with pointier eyebrows.
And more green.
But I think like I think it's great that like you could feel Mark Leonard like is like very, you know, like kind of Shakespearean actor, kind of like grandiose and like restrained to it. It's a beautiful sequence. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna be mad at Romulans anyway, so
Fair.
oh, what do you say else?
Never.
I'm drinking that Kool-Aid, man. It's green.
Green Kool-Aid's yum.
Oh,
Eric.
the pincer plan was so pretty. This episode,
Yes.
the visual effects in this, like we keep saying every week, like, how are they going to make it better? Well, every episode, they're like, here, we're going to just throw
We did
shit
it.
tons of money and we'll make it prettier.
Yeah.
That comment and then everything just was gorgeous. The sound design, like,
Oh,
is
don't.
like,
Just-
I thought last week was amazing.
Yeah.
You get a space battle and you're listening to this surround sound. It's just everywhere. You're so immersed in it. And it's, oh man, the sound design, man. If Nami's out there, like tell those people that they're amazing. Like fuck, that
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
hear this on TV. The last time I've heard sound design this well was The Expanse. So keep watching The Expanse, Julian.
True.
Yeah.
Working on it.
True.
I
gotta
need to
see
start.
that.
I need to start
Oh,
season
yes.
2.
Oh,
Yeah.
you edge of the tip, the tip of the iceberg, edge of the iceberg.
Edge of the tip.
Oh baby.
Oh, yeah.
We're not getting
Just
to
a
Jim
tip,
Kirk's
just a
Spock
tip.
slash tonight. Sorry.
Yet.
Damn.
Sorry, Rhianna.
I lost my notes because I started saying wrong things. That being said, about the special effects being so pretty, they did the 60s thing of turning the camera upside down, which made me so happy. And it was
So
so
cool.
cheesy because they kept on zooming in as they kept turning him. And I was like, you guys, you know how to make us happy. Going off Draft's point of Kirk beaming in and being like, we have to talk. You hesitated when firing. Like that was the perfect moment when you're like, this is why Kirk is Kirk and this is why Pike is Pike. And the acting between those two, like I said earlier, phenomenal. James Doohan, what an amazing cameo. Not James Doohan, but his voice
Yeah.
was an amazing cameo. And oh man, thinking about
You know why I thought it was James doing Eric is because the way he says, I'm not a medical worker, Mr. Spock. The way he says, like some people
Mr.
just say
Spock.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
people say Mr. Spock.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he just went full Mr. Spock.
Mhm.
Like
Mr.
if,
Spock.
I was like, oh, it was so good.
I was hoping it was some sort of like Darth Vader thing where they meld different
Yeah.
voice
Yeah.
actors
Oh,
together.
that'd be cool. Yeah.
Man, I don't know what else I can say. Like that it was an amazing sequence. Like this is why Star Trek's amazing. Like how are you gonna find this anywhere else? No, you won't.
Nope.
Like fuck.
True that.
The pincer.
Like, where
the
do I go from
The
here?
pincer maneuver, actually, you know, because I love the turnabout in this episode.
Mhm.
Because
The turnabout intruder.
I was just gonna say that.
Oh my.
Thank you, Giraffe.
Kidding me?
in the original Balance of Terror, and that Kirk was the one who anticipated and outmaneuvered the commander at every moment, and that, you know, to the point where the guy's like, he's a sorcerer. This one, he reads the minds of others. And this one, in the pincer maneuver, and that it was the Romulan commander's turn to, you know, basically read their actions, you know, holding back, and that, you know, he knew going through that comet cloud was going to reveal the position of the ship. So what does he do? He lets them go through, anticipating it, and that was just genius.
Right.
And the whole battle sequence, you know, I love that television is at this point now where it's like you get cinema quality, like special effects and these kinds of
I
things.
literally
Mhm.
felt like I was moving with the ship when Farragut
Mhm.
dove,
Oh,
right?
I know.
Oh.
Right.
You know when
Yeah.
you're playing Mario Kart and you're moving with it?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
what I was doing. I was like, oh my god.
Your body actually physically starts to
Yes.
move with it.
Yeah.
It looked so good, you know, the Farragut, you know, doing that, you know, Tiberius maneuver and that, turning up. and just the rapid fire of the phaser fire. It was genius to watch. I loved it.
I have to say that when they got out of the comments and the Romulans were not here, I was like, these fuckers for sure.
Yeah.
Romulans being Romulans, baby.
always.
You're gonna
Yeah.
think you're gonna outsmart a
Yeah.
Romulan, and
No, sir.
I think
Think
this is
again.
like what fascinates me so much because they're formidable, right? And they're fucking insane at the same time, and that's so
Dangerous
cool.
combo. Yeah.
Yeah,
And also like in balance, our views inside of the Romulan ship were always like the commander talking to his best friend Centurion guy and that too. I don't know why they didn't include him in this in this kind of a remake. His oldest friend, and the guy who kind of sympathizes with him
Blame
and that.
Pike.
Yeah.
where he kind of is in the conversation. He's the father of the guy,
the
right?
sub-commander.
Yeah, so
Right.
we're in an alternate timeline already.
What
and,
happened to him?
yeah.
What I loved in the Quality of Mercy in that scene inside the Romulan ship is that how the claustrophobic nature of their culture, that little sub commander in that weaselly little guy in that, he'd already suspected, the guy was having some moments of doubt and hesitation in that. But there's this shot where you can see them, he pulls them off to the side to talk to him, and you see the outlines of those two guards just on the left
So
and right
cool.
of the screen, and that, it's like they're overhearing the conversation. It's just this oppressive, like kind of fascist culture, and that just watching everybody, seeing what they're doing.
Secrets upon secrets upon secrets in the Romulan
I love
Empire.
that they
That's why
kept
they're
like
my
the
favorite
triangle.
villain.
Yeah.
Everywhere. No, the design is incredible.
I fucking
Yeah.
love the Romulans. Speaking of Mr. Shifty Sub Commander, he's an asshole and calls in the entire, not really the entire, but what looks like the entire Romulan fleet to destroy the Enterprise.
Every time ships come in, I'm like, is this going to be Picard season 1?
I was thinking that
Good.
too.
280 ships.
They learned their lesson,
They
goddammit.
did.
So the whole fleet comes in to destroy the Enterprise. The Praetor is like, I want your unconditional surrender. By the way, I'm a Praetor and you should kneel. This is Pike's big dick energy in the episode for me when he's like, I'm not Romulan, so you'll pardon me if I don't, bitch. Loved it.
Boom.
And then Captain James Tiberius Kirk, man, comes in with a fleet of nothing. Literally a fleet of nothing. And that line from Pike, like, you sneaky son of a bitch. It's so good. This is the other part I love about Pike being ballsy, right? Like, I don't know if he really believes this is going to work, but he's going to do it anyway. He literally has Uhura send the file of them blowing up the thing. Like, guess what? We caught you this time, leading to our commander friend being culled by the Praetor. This just leads to a horrible battle, right? Enterprise is horribly damaged, and then we find out that this whole thing leads to this never-ending war that Pike kind of alluded to, Future Pike, with the Romulan Star Empire. Spock ends up critically injured with much of the same injuries that Pike should have gotten 6 months earlier during the reactor training incident. He literally just takes his place. Pike then returns to the present, having a nice little heart-to-heart with Jim, who tells him that his daddy was the first officer on the Kelvin. Oh, my heart.
I thought that's why you freaked out, Giraffe. As soon as I said the Kelvin, I was like, this has to be the one, right? One of them.
And you know what? I didn't get to press this button the entire season for Giraffe, and I'm a little disappointed. That one. I didn't get to censor the Kelvin verse.
You used to beep me every time I would say
did.
Kelvin in Discovery.
What did we think about this massive, just awesome final sequence? And then, what is, I think, and I think what I'm reading from a lot of people on Twitter and other groups, more than likely closing the book on Pike's fate.
Wow. Yeah. This concluding part of this episode was so cool. I absolutely love the Kelvin reference. Literally, my sister was like, you gotta tell me what Giraffe's reaction was. Literally everyone's thinking about Giraffe. And I was so excited to hear that. I also, have we heard the Farragut outside of Kelvin verse, or has it just been
TOS?
TOS. Okay, cool. I
think in the menagerie.
So cool. Wow.
I'm not sure, but I think in the menagerie.
Such a cool deep cut, and I love that they were bringing back the Farragut for this. But yeah, I think this ending was so clever. Kirk's like completely devised this whole plan, also a plan that would get like the less amount of people killed. I mean, obviously at least the war, but like if it hadn't, you know, like he's bringing ships that are like maneuverable from like remote, you know, and so that was really cool. I just think like the reasons I was getting such Wrath of Khan parallels from Balance of Terror and from this is because of this, like, also this ending scene. I mean, in Balance of Terror, we have this wonderful stalking and there's the comet and there's like all of this, which reminds me so much of Wrath of Khan, where they're like waiting for each other and circling each other. And then we have this sort of Wrath of Khan-esque ending where like Spock's down in engineering, he's like really critically injured, and I'm just like,
think about that.
Yeah.
That's a great
my
point.
stomach is dropping like as I'm watching this scene, because, and also I'm selfishly like, is this a death fake out? Can we do Strange New World death fake out?
Gonna have to end it up start a new episode, Rhianna.
So we were like, can we add one to our list? But besides that, I was like really just stressed because, like, as everyone knows, Spock is my favorite, and so anytime seeing him injured, just like minorly injured, is really like tough for me. And so I like almost couldn't look when he's like covered in burns and his leg is gone and all of this stuff. I was just so disturbed, and I thought that they did that so beautifully, because it is similar to watching the scenes with Pike looking at the time crystal and seeing his future, and like just that body horror and just the like terror of it. And especially Chapel, like her reaction was really, really beautiful. And I just thought Anson Mount too, like kudos to him for this episode, because his acting was phenomenal. Like you could read every expression on his face. You really knew what Pike was going through, especially seeing Spock on that table. Like, oh, that just really got me. It was beautifully, beautifully done. And
Like his leg missing.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I just love too that the moral of the story is Spock is essential. Like literally, like the future cannot exist without Spock. And this is like my narrative of life. So I'm like, perfect. This is exactly my frame of reference. I love it. Because I had sort of I was wondering if Kirk was going to be the one to die in this timeline. And that was the reason why, or if there was going to be some sort of like, if Kirk was going to be the linchpin, but it's always Spock because he's unification man. So that was really cool, very disturbing, all of it at once, and phenomenally done.
I don't know if anybody else is going to talk about this, so I want to follow up with you real quick, Rhianna. Do you think it would have? Do you think that if it wasn't Spock, this episode still would have worked as well? If it would be Kirk, because that's the first time I've even thought about that being a possibility as well.
I mean, I think it would have been different. You know, I think that like Kirk being that injured would create such a different reaction for like Starfleet. Like definitely there wouldn't be definitely Klingons, what the High Chancellor would have been assassinated. Like there would have been really bad Klingon stuff in the future for the movies. But also Spock's unification and everything that he does in the future is like more grand sweeping, and I think that the Klingons like peace would have still occurred, maybe a little longer down the road, but still I think it would have been really impactful. It was Kirk, but I think it's always Spock that people go back to, you know.
So I'm gonna answer that at the end. First of all, I love this like end. I'm gonna call bullshit on two things.
Go for it. Yeah.
Two things. We know the Romulans have like spy among spy, inside spies. Like they're like on the Vulcan High Commons. They're everywhere. The Tal Shiar lives in your basement. You know this.
Did you know they had spies?
You know that they know what a Starfleet ships look like. They've been attacking bases around the neutral zone. Get out of here if they don't know what a spaceship look like. So you have the Enterprise, the flagship one, and all the rest looks different. They're not that dumb. So okay, a bit easy. I'll give it to them. But I was like, yeah, get out.
No,
of
I
here.
agree with you.
Yeah.
Second
thing, sending the file again. That's what I was saying. Is Pike not understanding that different culture? That they're not gonna give a shit about. We know, and now it's time for calling. And I mean, it's like the obvious way that the Praetor was going to respond, like so obvious that when she went like, oh, fuck them, I was like, duh, yeah, absolutely. And that would have been the same thing for the Klingons. That would have been the same thing for the Romans. I mean, like, it's so obvious. And that's such a weird move, because you're like, dude, read the fucking room. They know they've been blowing up outpost. They don't give a shit about your justice because they're here to see what you have in your pants. And so far, you're showing nothing. Okay?
No, that's a great
Yeah.
point, right? Because Enterprise is it. Enterprise is the most advanced starship in the fleet up until Discovery, and Discovery is not there anymore.
Yeah.
That's what they have to offer, and I completely agree with you. These are the fucking Romulans. They know what every single
So
class
true.
of Starfleet ship looks
They
like.
know
Period. End
they
of
know
story.
the name
Yeah.
of your mother before she got. They know your social security number. They know what you really look like.
They
on
know
your
about the Kelvin
public
verse. God
files.
damn it!
They know about
Yeah.
everything. Get out of here. I said it's very about Spock, and a bit pissed because it's always about Spock, and I love Spock, but like sometimes it's a bit too much. Here, I think it's beautiful because it's the point of the episode for me is to link to the menagerie.
Mhm.
Yes.
And-
yes.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is not about the Romulans because we see Pike in his Maroons, right? So they are not Romulans. They didn't lose to the Romulan Empire. They may be still fighting, but they're still here, like 20 years after TOS. So they didn't lose to the Romulans. The problem, yeah, a lot of people died,
Millions.
and there's not gonna be unification. We see how important is unification in Discovery, right? But I do think for me, it's important because this moment where Spock with Pike, I did it. Pike,
Aha!
back in the normal timeline where he's like, I feel like I owe you a debt of gratitude, but I don't know for what. And I think this is, for me, it's the key of the episode because this moment where Spock kind of understands that Pike is going to sacrifice his life and like leave this like future of pain for him is because he's saving Spock's life, not the cadets. He's making a choice and it's saving Spock's life. And Spock is going to do everything in the menagerie. And if you have not seen this episode, it's a weird episode, but it's such a great Spock episode because he goes through insane lengths to get Pike out of there. And it's because it is that debt of gratitude. It is this, he knows he owes something that he will never really understand to Pike, and he's going to do everything. And for me, the link is the moment where he enters the bridge and the song is making memories, because he's going to make memories and he's going to live in these memories in Talos 4. Spoiler alert, if you have not watched the menagerie. But and I think for this episode explains why like Pike is not gonna die because Spock is gonna save him and all his memories are gonna be here for him. So for me, it's important to this because it's linking the menagerie too.
Yeah.
Damn it. That was my number one point on the menagerie thing. Was like, I have to write this. It's in bold. So I'm going to go back on the battle. I'm going to actually go on the battle first. Because this is the battle that I wanted at the end of Picard season 1. Like, everything in this was perfect. We saw all the various ships. The camera movements were straight out of the end battle of Serenity, that movie.
Yes.
So
yeah,
great callback.
It was again, sound design, visual effects, amazing for this. Kirk getting the remote chips. I know it's cheesy that they don't know this, but I think that's hilarious, and I think that's a great thing that Kirk would do. It's something that he would just be like, no one would think about using this, and that's why Kirk did it, because Kirk's like fucking awesome. It's just a boss move, and just like Pike sending that video file to the Praetor, again, boss move. I love seeing those two moments because you're just like, this is why those two captains are so iconic. Like, they're so awesome. This is everything I want from Picard. I said that already.
While you're looking at your notes, I just want to say that Nami is here, and she does say the sound design is amazing as always, and that they are literally the best.
They are the best. I've been gushing about them all episode and last week too. My God, the Spock parts were hard to watch. Like, just heartbreaking when you see Yoda say, go down to medical. It's Spock, and the look of shock on Pike's face. Man, Anson Mount did like the full gamut of emotions in this whole episode, and there's a reason why he's leading the show. He's incredible. Like Hawk was saying, the body horror, seeing no leg, and seeing but even before that, when Pike enters the medical bay, they use a Snorri cam where they attach the camera facing
I love that shot.
facing Pike.
Yes.
So there's sort of this dreamy sort of floating, traumatic. He's floating through all of this, like he's seeing all of this, and he's sort of shook by everything. And why wouldn't he? Sees his crew just in pieces, and he first sees the people that he meets at the beginning of this, sequence. This not dream sequence, but this time travel sequence. He sees the dead couple, and unlike Balance of Terror, we get the wife dying, but still traumatic. And then going over to Spock, and you're just like, it's just the worst thing. Like, it's just so horrible to see someone he had worked with so close, and we know they're sort of like brothers on the ship, and to see him go through that, and later hearing older Pike say that, he's a person that's going to be so influential to everything, not just Starfleet, but the whole universe.
The line delivery is so damn good when he just kind of like glances over and goes, he's got things to do. Like very
Fate of the
nonchalant.
galaxy kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was cool. Mm-hmm.
And playing off yourself, I can't imagine how hard that would have been for Anson.
Right.
Or at least, or how,
Dude, I can. Dude's a fucking fantastic actor.
Yeah.
Like,
and they don't feel like just, this is Pike and it's Pike in older makeup. It feels like an older Pike that has gone through shit. Like, this has been a war that's been raging for the Federation, and it's taking its toll, and you can see it's wearing on him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something that they should be going through, because Spock would have changed things. I know, Spock is very central to Trek, and we don't like that it's always about Spock, but this did feel like it was appropriate. Going off Draft's point about the menagerie, that little chat at the end, like full on, made me feel like this is why Spock later on in the menagerie would just do anything for him. Like up until that point in TOS, where it's like, oh, this is his number one guy. He's got Kirk's back, but to see him, betray him, I'm gonna air quotes that, to do anything for this captain that we hadn't really even seen. Like it doesn't make sense at first, but like just you get a point. You get the point by the end of the 2 episodes. But this adds so much that there's so much depth.
You're gonna
there
go
to that
back
character.
and watch that episode now. and
Adding,
it's gonna
yeah,
have so
adding
layers
depth.
and layers and
depth.
just
Totally.
That's exactly like Lethe in Discovery. Yeah, adding these like layers of insanity to like TOS episodes. So when you rewatch them, you're like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Like we watched like Operation Annihilate, right? And there's a moment where Kirk is speaking about like losing his brother, and you see Spock going like, Captain, and I was like, he's gonna tell him about Michael. And like you like cannot watch TOS now without like adding all these layers of backgrounds that they've done beautifully so far.
I remember being on Trek Twitter like before Strange New Worlds came out, or at least when it was announced, and people were like, oh, they're gonna change things, how they're gonna work around this. And I'm like, this is perfect legacy work right here. Like the writers and everyone are on point. Nami, in the chat, phenomenal work. Like it fits in the whole mythos of Star Trek. Everything is just like the best of this industry. And
people have to remember that Henry Alonso Myers and Akiva Goldsman, and as much as we have some issues with Akiva with his work on Picard, they are both hardcore TOS stands.
Yeah.
And it shows.
It shows
so
hard.
Yeah.
They're just like, even the littlest tidbits where you're just like, oh shit, how would you know that unless you're a big fan of this?
It's a love letter to TOS, like truly.
And it feels like everyone on the cast and crew genuinely love Star Trek. And like, as a fan, how could you not love that, right?
Yeah.
What do I also have here? Floating thing. The musical sequence at the end felt so right for Pike's evolution, for his character, for him going through this whole ordeal, and it felt for me that he was finally accepting his fate, and that he knew that this was going to lead to better and bigger things. And it wasn't just him. It was really, it felt like that cheesy, we're going to walk over to this person. We're like, I love you, and I love you, and I love you. But that's what I love about Pike, and I loved it for that sequence. It wasn't cheesy, but it felt, that to that sequence, to that point of him showing that he does appreciate and love all of these people, and that he would do anything for them. And I love that. That's an amazing way to go into the last bit.
Yeah.
Fuck.
What do I say? You guys have covered this so
It
well.
sucks to be the last one on this
I know.
episode, I feel.
Unfair part of the round table rotation.
First up, I do disagree with Giraffe and that. The Tal Shiar. Oh, I know, right? No, Tal Shiar was not. The Romulans did not know anything about humans at this point. I mean, that was the whole point of
They
balance.
meet Archer. What are you talking about? In Enterprise.
Did they actually meet him? I can't remember.
They did meet him.
Totally.
Well, they don't
Okay.
meet. No, so I finally finished all of Enterprise. They don't. They don't.
They see
quite
them,
meet him,
but
they
The Romulan, so
glimpse.
Enterprise cannot see them because they're cloaked.
Yeah.
But they see Enterprise
they see
because they know what's going. Yeah,
Yeah.
so they
The
know
whole-
what a fashion Starfleet, like Starship, looks like.
Oh, they know, but they don't really know the capability. Okay, the whole
True,
point of
yeah.
Balance of Terror is that Kirk blew that ship the hell out of space before it could even reach the Romulan neutral zone. And the fact that the ship just completely disappeared sent the message to the Romulans that okay, we got to take our time with this one.
Mhm.
We don't have to rush headlong into it. Given that, though, you were absolutely right.
Yeah.
Pike just completely misreads them, sending them that evidence. Look at this evidence and that we have. And it's it's okay. I thought when they blew up that ship, they were just oh, okay.
We out.
They caught us, okay, we're just gonna, these guys are acting on their own. Boom, boom, boom. They're done. No, they killed them because they got caught,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
And the rest is your evidence. What do you think? This is not a court of law.
Do we know who played the Praetorian? Or not
I
Praetorian?
read it at the
Praetor?
end of the credits, and I forgot. to
She's
put it in the notes.
amazing.
She was
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah,
So cool. Yeah.
She's
I wanted to see Empress Sella, but I know it's too early. But whatever,
Mhm.
little bit.
We can dream.
I do what I want.
Yeah. She's great. We're the Romulans. You have shown us we have nothing to fear from you. Get down on your knees. I love that. So
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. Pike completely misread the situation. Other than that, what
The
else is there?
line in another reality.
We
Yeah.
could have been.
I
Oh.
could have been
friends.
your friend.
Yes.
That was from the episode too,
Yes.
wasn't it?
So good.
Yep.
That was
Exactly. The
line for
final
line,
Oh,
pretty
it
much.
was
Yeah.
so good. And then they all stand and they just blew up to bits. It's
Oh.
epic.
His line delivery for that was just perfect.
Perfect.
Literally
So good.
perfect. Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, the whole point of the episode was that time has a weird way of pushing back, and that you change your knowing your fate doesn't mean you can change it, and it's not just about who should be wearing what, and that it's if you change the fate of one person, and that there is some sort of repercussion.
But he can change it, though. That's the thing that is amazing. He can if he wants to.
He can if he wants to, but there is a reciprocity in that you have to face. Yeah, and the
Yeah,
reciprocity.
but I mean,
Yeah.
you can be, hey, after me the flood, I want to leave, whatever.
If Umbrella Academy has taught us anything, is that changing things in the timeline is a bad idea.
Super bad idea.
I feel like somebody is brainwashing everybody into not changing the timelines lately. Have you realized that all the shows are
All
do
the
not
shows,
change the
yeah.
timelines? Do they know something we don't know?
Mhm.
Marvel, Star Trek, the Umbrella Academy, everybody do not mess with time.
Yeah.
I'm good. I think we should move on.
So I'm gonna say two quick things on this because I can't go without talking about this. I love this so much. The final scene with Pike and Spock together. TOS isn't my series like it is for Giraffe. That goes to TNG era shows like DS9 mainly and TNG. But holy shit, did this not make me I'm getting a little teary-eyed right now. It made me cry at the end. When Spock's I feel like I owe you a tremendous great debt of gratitude.
How intuitive is Spock?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh
And
my gosh, so perceptive.
This
yeah.
is exactly this is
Yeah, but he doesn't
this
know
is-
if he wants coffee or tea.
that,
That's
well,
beautiful.
He knows.
I know I want coffee.
He wants
Um,
tea.
This
He
is
doesn't want tea.
this is literally the defining moment of the menagerie. This is what makes the menagerie happen. And as someone who listen, I'm not a canon Nazi, but like I like to see canon kept, and I'll complain about it every now and then. So to kind of, it's not a retcon, but to like make this the canon of that is just so damn beautiful, and I'm so happy for the way it was done. And the last thing I want to do is read MC's comment, because I agree with it, and this I think will make everyone happy. Just because the Tal Shiar knows doesn't mean the Romulans know. Spy groups inside of spy groups inside of spy groups. So that's actually a very
good point.
point. But I mean, listen, that moment at the end between those two, that's where they become not just crewmates, but like lifelong besties, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
wait, in Enterprise too, they use an NR to fight the Enterprise,
They
and
do
they see the
indeed.
Enterprise,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
it's not the Tal Shiar, it's the Senate.
Yep.
no, it's right, dude. The Tal Shiar are like in the Senate. It's like right
No,
by
no,
the
no.
Senate
Like
building.
that's like a thing that they are working on, like not
Right.
like
right.
not as secretly as like the Tal
Yeah.
Shiar, let's say, but like just like trying to go through my Romulan like database.
this is the very tail end of the episode. This is what they want us to like, keep watching for season 2. It's kind of thrown in there. Still, it's gonna set up big things for Una in season 2, and that is she is arrested at the end of that episode by Pike's girlfriend. To which I say, no more pancakes and pasta for you.
Yep.
miss.
Now
Yeah.
extra
Yeah.
No
cheese
more
for
sexy
you.
times.
No more sexy time. Captain Patel arrests Una on the orders of Starfleet because they find out somehow that she's an Illyrian. Someone tattled, and we're gonna find out who.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, Giraffe has brought it up, and it's a great point. Like, Una has been noticeably absent this season,
Mhm.
and I mean, listen, you can't start the season without her being the main arc. I don't want to spend too much time on this because we've gone way over, and it's just the tail end of the episode. But what did we think about this cliffhanger, Rhianna?
Sorry, someone's jamming outside.
Jam! Tell them to play the Star Trek theme.
Yeah, come on, let's go.
Where's your theremin?
Where's Faith in the Heart?
Yes.
So I think that like literally my first thought when I saw Una being arrested was like, who snitched? Like literally I'm like looking around at everyone on Enterprise. I'm like, who was it? But yeah, I mean, I think that like Haven brought up a really good point. They were talking about Jessco putting a message on the Discord saying, why are all the high-ranking ladies in modern Trek being arrested / taken off to jail? First Michael, then Captain Freeman, and now Una. And also Jess wonders, Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks know how similar their cliffhangers are. And this is literally something I was going to bring up. Like, this is Freeman. Like, this is another Freeman, like, cliffhanger type thing. I mean, very different situations, obviously, but I was just really fascinated that it took this sort of turn at the end, because I wasn't expecting an episodic show to like leave us on a season cliffhanger, but it wasn't so big that I was like furious about it. I'm more just like, I know she's going to be okay, but is she? Because we don't know a lot of Una history. And so it's perfect because we get like that question mark, but it's also really stressful. So yeah, I do think it's an interesting question that Jessco brought up about like literally why are all these women being arrested, and yeah, it's just so fascinating to me, and I was really getting some Lower Decks parallels as well.
The chat is blaming Chief Kyle for
It's always Chief Kyle.
ratting out Una.
So
No.
mean.
He's a meanie.
Apparently, yeah.
I think it's kind of I'm disappointed by that soft kind of weird cliffhanger. Like, it would have been a great cliffhanger if they had given us more time to know Una and like Una and make her central to the plot. She's supposed to be one of the triumvirate. How do you say
Triumvirate.
Triumvirate in English.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be Pike, Spock, Una, right? And she's been nowhere. Literally in 109, she was not even here. She was
Yeah.
like delivering mail. By the way, we don't know if the mail made it to the planet. We don't know. But anyway, so it would have been a great cliffhanger if she had time to become like a loved central character to the plot. Right now, I'm like, oh, she's not gonna be here. I didn't even realize she was not here. Like, until it was like, where's Una? I was like, oh yeah, where's Una? So I think, I hope they do better to Rebecca Romaine and have her more central to the plot. I don't know if I'm gonna watch season 2 though, but I'm not gonna watch season 2 because I'm gonna be like, where's Una? I'm gonna watch season 2 because it's Star Trek, right?
Fair.
No more sexy time and pasta. No more sexy time and pasta, so you can get info about Una.
Very good point.
Right?
Yes.
He has a higher security clearance.
Let me make you some more pancakes.
Exactly. That being said, this episode, they kept on alluding to Una disappearing and being like shunned or on this prison planet or everything. Like, so it sort of felt natural that they were going to go to this point by the end of it, because Pike throughout the episode was like, where the fuck is Una? You know, the same thing we've been asking all season. So I'm hoping that next season, because I guess the main storyline about them trying to get her out of it is going to be a big plot point. So hopefully we'll get more about Una throughout the season. That's my hope, because she was missing so much in this season. That being said, I like that this was a cliffhanger, because even TNG with its episodic content did have cliffhangers like this, and it makes me want to, like, I'm looking forward to next season. And if it starts off with Pike looking directly in the camera at me, man, fuck yeah, that's awesome. I would want that again.
So hot. Oh my god.
Julian's like, ooh.
You don't even understand. My face is getting red. You can see it on my fucking camera. Oh.
Julian is like, Wilson Cruz who? Like, Anson Mount is the new.
Rhianna's close enough with us now at this point that she knows the Wilson Cruz love
Oh
too.
yeah, totally.
Oh.
Yeah, I agree. Una was done dirty this season. Jeff, not enough screen time, not enough story. She got one episode basically. That was it. Yeah,
Kinda.
so
Yeah.
kinda. Where she's basically just going around cleaning up messes that other people are making. So yeah, I'm hoping that she gets a good bulk of like next season devoted to her. I think the central point they were trying to make is that Pike accepts that he can't change his fate in that, but knowing what Una's fate is going to be in that, like, you know, she was in prison for like at least a good 7 years in that when he was his future self. So if he can't change his own fate, he knows he's going to try and change hers. So I'm thinking whole courtroom scene, Measure of a Man. Yeah.
Please,
Yeah.
I'm laughing at the chat because they're like, they are going to come back, and episode 1 she's on the bridge, and they laugh about one sentence regarding saving her, and nothing else is said.
Oh man, I wouldn't
Just
put
like-
past track. Yeah.
Just like characters coming back, we don't talk about it.
I would hate that.
Yeah.
I would hate that, but I would also
laugh
kind
so
of
much.
love it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go full on conspiracy theory, and I'm gonna say that I'm gonna be right about this. I'm calling it right now, and I'm almost never right, so don't worry. It's La'an. She had a moment of weakness, and this is why she has to do time shenanigans with Kirk in season 2, because she's a good
Ooh, I like it.
Thank you.
I like that
thought-
too. That's quite
You
good.
have my approval.
Yeah.
because she's got her whole anti thing because she's a con, and you know,
True.
yeah, I think it's gonna be La'an. Anyway, dare I ask, because we've gone so over time,
Yes, you
and I
shall.
feel like everybody has said everything they want to say, but maybe I'm wrong. Permission to speak freely. Is there anything we missed going in the same order that you would like to talk about real quick, Rhianna?
Just a quick couple things. I absolutely love, my favorite line of this whole thing is Spock's coffee and tea remark. Like, I love
my
this whole
God.
scene because it's so TOS Spock. Like, it's so funny. It's so Spock in general, like how he kind of likes to fuck with humans, because like obviously he knows what jokes are. He knows how to be like funny and cheeky, and so like he plays that up a lot, especially, you know, we see with McCoy later on, and so it was really funny. I just like, that's like perfect Spock. It was amazing. Also super happy that La'an is like looking happier. I was really glad that she looks so cute with her hair
Huggable La'an.
down. Yeah, I was like, I'm excited to see her growth, and that'll be really interesting. And yeah, I also am just like, I don't know, I just love this episode. So yeah, those are my thoughts.
Uh-oh.
Duras, like, I'm ready to speak more.
The green earrings, man. The back.
Yes.
Ha, this is what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say one more thing. I have not bought a Strange New World uniform because I've seen that TOS uniform in the first trailer, and I was like, "That's the uniform I want. I want this one. I don't want the Strange New World one. I want one with the sexy color."
You could rock the shit out of that too.
Oh
Totally.
my god, I want
Totally.
it so bad. So that's the one I'm gonna buy, just so you know.
Hell
Whereas
yeah.
I'm gonna get the TNG skirt, the male skirt one.
Scant.
Yeah.
Oh, the scan.
Yeah.
Please,
Hand time.
yes, love that.
Yeah, I can rock that.
Sexy.
Oh
Totally.
my
Tip
god,
of the edge. Edge of the tip.
Edge of the tip. What to say about this episode? I think it might be my favorite Star Trek finale. Like, this is that good. Like, it blew my brain. Like, the amount of times I've watched this episode.
Yes.
I watched
feel
it
you.
twice with my daughter. Like, she wanted, at the end of the episode, she said, "Okay, what's next?" I'm like, "There's no more. We have to wait." And she was like, "No, let's just play it again." And we watched it again. So, like, even with the time travel confusing her because she's 7, like, she still wanted to watch it. And that's like, to have a Star Trek series that can relate to my kids, or at least that they can watch and they can enjoy at this age. Like, it made me think of how I felt when I saw TNG premiere when I was 8. Like, it feels like that, and it, like, hats off to everyone involved with that, because this is gonna be my daughter's Star Trek. I thought it would be Prodigy, but
Great
it's
comment.
this one.
That's
And
so
that's
awesome.
crazy. like that's amazing. And my middle child, she's 4. She watched this episode too. She didn't know what the hell was going on, but she watched it, and she was like, "That's the princess from last week." And she's so pretty. She's so pretty, and now she's awesome. And she's hugging people. And I was like, "Oh my god, you like." I never thought I'd be able to watch this with my kids. They won't sit down and watch Star Wars with me, but they'll watch Star Trek, which is, I don't know.
Good kids.
Yeah.
Good
Eric,
kids.
Totally.
Cecily hasn't watched every episode, but she's watched a good portion of them. And part of it is I have no idea why she's connected with him so much. And I know this is going to blow Rhianna's mind, but she fucking loves Spock. She's obsessed with
Good
Spock.
girl.
Yeah.
So, like, she watched this and she was like, "Oh my god, Spock!" Like, she liked this episode a lot too.
My kids love La'an, like, love
that's
her.
awesome.
Yes.
And I was like,
that's
that's
amazing.
cool. That's a strong character.
Yeah.
You know, trauma, but a strong character
Very
to
strong,
attach
yeah.
to, and I like that they attached to strong female characters. I wanted Una to
Awesome.
be more of that character, but we didn't really get to see her this season. So hopefully next season she gets more of these strong female
Yeah.
archetypes, and I like that's amazing. That's all I can ask for.
I need Una to have more of what's her name in the Orville, the EXO vibe.
And Commander Grayson.
Grayson, yeah. How can I forget the name Grayson? I'm a dumbass.
Hmm.
Anyway, Amanda Grayson. Everybody know anybody?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good female EXO
Yeah.
as a
Especially
character.
in
I
episode
can't.
5.
I don't think I could show her the Orville.
No, but I mean that's what
the
I
truth,
want
yeah, that is-
Una
yeah.
to like to be in Strange New World, like, you know,
Mhm.
present.
Yeah, and now my kids are asking for Murph to come back, so I don't know what to say.
Nami
To them.
says, but Prodigy is so good.
Yeah, they love it
Prodigy is
too.
great. We
Yeah.
want Prodigy back.
Give us
Oh,
more.
it's so
I
good.
want Prodigy.
Right now. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not too much more to say. Great season finale, maybe greatest season finale for year one of a Star Trek series, and that, other than, you know, Conspiracy from TNG.
Mm.
I don't know. I think this is better.
Love that one.
I like that one too.
The only thing I was gonna
Such
add
sweet
is
sorrow.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
True.
that's true. That's a great one. That was year 2, and that this is like first year out of the gate. You know, for a finale, it was amazing.
I like that Julian was like, "You don't have anything else to say," and we've been going for 15 minutes.
You know, sometimes the host
Sorry,
is
Hawk.
just fucking wrong.
I was gonna do something else, but I think we are running late. It is quarter.
You know what? We are running late, but I will follow that up with there's only one Strange New Worlds season 1 finale, so it deserves to run late. And the last
so
thing I
good.
want to say is Paul Wesley is Captain Kirk. I know I already said it, but I'm going to say it again. I need more. If there's a way to canonically get him and Anson Mount in a room again, make it happen.
Is the Farragut? Is he captain of the Farragut for a while before
He's not
Or
Captain.
just-
In
I
canon,
wasn't
the
sure.
Enterprise is Kirk's first command.
Yeah, that's what I thought
this-
too.
The whole
Yeah.
thing.
He's
should
a
have happened.
lieutenant in the on the frigate.
Oh, yeah,
to
yeah.
follow up what I was saying about how there's only one Strange New Worlds finale and how we should be getting into crew member of the week now. We only get to do this once, and this is the whole reason we started the podcast. So I'm going to ask a question from Twitch, from Scavengist. What are hopes for season 2, storylines and aliens? Quick answers, please. It's a loaded question, and I ask for quick answers.
I'm definitely, of course, hoping for more Una. I agree. She was really underrepresented, especially from like a phenomenal Major Barrett role. We need more Una. Also, I'm definitely looking forward to more just like, I want more like Vulcan in this era. Like, I loved how much Vulcan is in Enterprise, and I want to see more of them. Also, because I just love Vulcan culture and Spock and everything. So go hand in hand. And then obviously, I'm super excited to see what's happening with T'Pring in the future as well, because there's going to be some more drama there. So exciting.
So same. I want to know the backstory of Amok Time very, very bad.
Yeah.
I want to get to see Sarek. I know that he's not going to see his father for some time, so I want to know what happened. Really?
Yes.
I'd love to see his parents like in Strange New World, and I want a backstory on Chappelle. I want her to have a story. Please give her a story. Same with Ortegas. I want full episode about them. Add Uhura to the mix because I can never say no.
Yeah.
But yeah, give us more Chappelle doing something, please.
Yep, I actually said the same thing. More Uma, more Chapel, more T'Pring. I want more episodes. More episodes.
20 episodes.
20 episodes. I would love to see the Klingons again.
Oh my God, Nami's
Yeah.
comment, and I agree with this wholeheartedly because she did get it near the tail end of the season. Mitchell is the main character. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 He's the
Oh.
new chief engineer.
I want to see Kyle become the new engineer. I think that would be hilarious and amazing. Ortega, more backstory for Ortegas. Or not more. I want an episode about Ortegas, a full one.
Yes.
That's all.
Yeah.
For me, Una's backstory, which we're probably going to be getting like in the next season. Other than that, just more TOS aliens. I want to see Andorians. I want to see Tholians.
Oh, more aliens.
Organians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Throw the Breen in there too.
Elvens.
Throw the Breen in there.
Time agents.
A Horta.
Porta.
Ooh, yes.
2
There's-
words. Oh, go ahead, Hawk. Sorry.
No, I'm good. You go ahead.
2 words. Laurel. Klingons.
Mm.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, Klingons,
Yes.
man.
Yes, please.
Klingons,
If they're not in
bring in the
season 2,
Klingons.
don't at me.
Mhm.
Sorry. Done. All right, folks. Crew member of the week. Very quickly, reverse order. Hawk, your crew member of the week.
Okay, this is a tough one. Spock. Had to be Spock this time. He got his leg blown off. So yeah, he's a crew member of the week.
For me, it's not a crew member of the Enterprise, but he will be eventually Kirk.
I'm gonna say Kirk because I know I cannot say the Roman commander. So,
You absolutely can.
So the Roman
He is a crew
commander.
member.
Fuck yes, dude! That move in the comet
Mm.
every day. Give me
Baller.
more. Well, he's
Yeah.
dead now, but whatever.
I'm definitely going with older Pike because like truly going back in time and doing all that shit, like that's hard work. I'm glad that he did that. Thank you.
Nice. I'm gonna read a couple of comments on Twitch real quick. Yummy on Pod wrote, sorry, Joaquin Slowly. I'm gonna go outside the box and say Jenna Mitchell because she's always great and she does clip that Romulan ship from.
Oh,
Disney.
yeah,
Can I
that was a
read
good
Yummy
shot,
on
That was
right?
cool.
Yes, you absolutely can because it's brilliant.
Sam Kirk for being here just to talk shit about Jim.
That's
one of the-
what you do. That's
what
what
you
you do about your younger brother.
Totally.
Listen, this is your role in life. This is what you're mandated to.
It's like
Talk
a-
shit about your brother.
It's one of the best episodes. It's one of the best scenes in the episode.
Mhm.
Haven writes, crew member of the week, the Romulan commander. Scavengers, crew member of the week, Future Pike. Nami says the Praetor, great answer, so badass. Yeah, and Zeldin fan Kyle because he beamed up all the Farragut people. Yeah, Kyle.
Yeah, that's right, Kyle. He's not that mean.
Hey. Oh my god. All right, guys, let's rate the first ever season finale of Strange New Worlds out of 10 Romulan super weapons. Rhianna.
I'm gonna give it a 9. Like, it was almost the perfect episode for me, especially for a finale. Finales can be so dicey, and they did it so well. Such an ode to TOS without it being too TOS, if that makes sense.
I think for me it's a 10. They're Romulans, like in a 12, 15, 200, I don't know. But I do consider 109 to be the finale. This is kind of like a cherry on the cherry on the cake. Can you say a cherry on the pie? What do you say? Yeah, something
Sunday.
like this. Yeah, Sunday. What? Cherry
Edge
on
of
the
the
Sunday?
tip.
Yeah.
It's at the edge of the tip.
It really
The
is.
tip of the edge.
I want to know what the hell is going on.
No one knows.
No.
I'm gonna give. If I could give this more than 10, I would. This is one of my favorite episodes of Star Trek. This is it was amazing, just amazing.
10. Yeah, absolutely. And it's just deftly blends, like, not just like, old TOS Balance of Terror in that. It brings in yesterday's Enterprise and unification and makes it all just one big sweet ass finale.
Sweet ass
Oh
finale.
yeah.
On Twitch,
Oh my
Maggie
God.
Lake gives it a 10. MC Furtis gives it a 10 out of 10. Ill-fated married couple.
Yeah, man.
Oh my god.
Joaquin slowly rates 10 out of 10. Best Trek with both Kirk brothers ever. Yes.
Oh, I want more of them together.
brothers?
Please.
Scavengers 9.5 out of 10 only because last week was also a finale, like Drow
True.
said.
Fair.
Shatterhand sticking with my score for Mailbag, 10 out of 10. Haven a 9.99875, which is the maximum warp of Voyager.
Yes,
Winner
Haven.
gives it-
Thank you for
Reference
that. That's
well
amazing.
done. Wayner gives it a 10. Zeldin fan 4323, 10 out of 10. By the way, did Pike break the fourth wall at the end? Yeah, he did.
No, he was looking directly at us. He was just
Silver
like, yeah.
Metal Tavern gives it says we should give it an 11. Yeah, let's give it to 11.
It was up
Absolutely.
to 11.
Yeah,
15.
turn it up to 11.
Yeah.
Riftwood does say this one goes to 11, which I'll say too. This is an 11, and I'm gonna
15 black Romulans.
15 black Romulans. Hell yes.
I feel validated in my cosplay choices now.
I've watched this episode like 5 or 6 times now, and I've been debating in my head, is it better than the Lower Decks season 1 finale? And I have to say it is. This is an 11 out of 10. This is the Mount Rushmore of season 1 Star Trek finales. It is probably a top 10, 15 episode of Star Trek ever. Amazing. With that being said, we are not just rating a season tonight. An episode tonight. We are rating a season. Very quickly, let's rate this season out of 10 evolutions of Captain Pike's hair. Rhianna.
10. I loved like almost every episode. Like, it was just like you were all saying, every single time I was like, okay, but no one can top this episode I just saw. And the next week would top it. And I'm like, literally how? So I just am so happy that this show exists. And 10 out of 10.
I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. It's still Trek and first seasons.
Yeah.
We come back from very far.
It's been a long road. It has.
It's been a very long road, man. I lost faith in the middle of it. I do think that there was some point where they sold something to the Trekkies and they did not deliver. And I do think it's very good track. It's very good, but I'm gonna keep being a Discovery fan.
Yeah. Love that.
I'm gonna give it. Oh man, I want to give it a 10, but I'm gonna give it a 9.5 because there are some, character things I wish happened. There's like Ghost of Illyria didn't really do it for me. I thought it was good, but not amazing. That being said, this is the best first season of Star Trek, I think, other than Lower Decks.
Lower Decks, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is probably the second best first season ever.
Yeah. I'm going to go. I gotta go 9 out of 10 on that. It's almost perfect. It's like we came off of like, a very disappointing season 2 of Picard, and that.
And we
pain,
wanted so
the
much
suffering.
more.
And you can imagine how that broke my heart, especially, right? So, I came into this at a kind of a low point in my Trekkiedom. And this, week by week, it's blown me away. It's not perfect in that they have a lot of work to do with the rest of the cast in that, and making use of them the way like Trek can do and has done with their extended casts and crews. But for a first season of a show, 9 out of 10.
It's true that TOS has a very good first season too.
It's
let's
true.
be
It's
honest.
true. Yeah. True.
Over on Twitch, Shatterhand gives it a 10 out of 10, the very top of Pike's Peak. Maggie Light gives it a 10. MC Frotus gives it a 7.5 out of 10. Haven an 8 for the overall season. Wayner an 8. Zeldin Fan 4323 shows ultimately 12 out of 10 best Star Trek show.
It's my first one, so I think it's awesome.
Yes.
There you go. Yes,
That's so
I love
awesome.
it. You never forget your first Trek. Joaquin
True.
Slowly,
That's
the
true.
season for me is 9 out of 10 episodic adventures. One more? No, I think that's it. I'm going to go with Rhianna, and I'm going to give it a 10. That is not to say that it is a perfect season. I think I've said this on other
totally.
podcasts before, that you can give a 10 and it still doesn't mean it's necessarily perfect. There were some issues. We've talked about them on the pod. Chapel is a major part of those issues. I know that we've had some issues about the amount of focus on Spock, but I'm giving it a 10 for one of the main reasons being we started this podcast to talk about this show with a lot of hopes and dreams that it would be kind of everything that we want it to be, and besides a couple of minor hiccups, goddamn, is this not my favorite Star Trek series? It is.
It's so easily
Yeah.
rewatchable too.
Yeah, I can go back and binge this
Yeah,
right now.
so
Like,
true.
it is my favorite Star Trek series. Captain Pike is my favorite captain. I can't wait to see season 2. It is a 10 out of 10. So
Hell yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's 9 p.m. So whatever. Favorite episode of the season.
why?
Come on, one. For me, it's this one, the finale for sure. 10-10, like this
God,
one.
why?
This
You don't have one?
It's this followed by Spock Amok.
Akamuck for me, easily.
Oh, that's the one I
So
hated the
good.
most.
I know you hate
Really?
that
I
one.
It's
love
my
that
Body
one.
zero.
parts, though.
It's my 0.0. I want this episode gone. This is a terrible episode.
This
Alright.
Nah.
a quality of mercy, but all those who wander and lift us where suffering cannot reach are so close to that.
Yeah.
Yes, same.
Um,
And the Elysian Kingdom too.
Oh, that's
Oh yeah, the Legion Kingdom. Oh god.
Too many to choose from.
I have to
And
read,
don't forget
I have to read a quick
Memento
comment
Mori.
from Nami. Oh, Memento Mori.
Memento
yes.
Mori too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nami is giving us a 10 out of 10 as a
Thank
podcast.
you.
Aw.
Yes,
we
agreed.
love you.
100%.
That's all. Great choices on the Twitch as well. Yummy and Pod, Memento Mori, MC Frotus, Elysian Kingdom, Haven, the Serene Squall. Dude, like,
Oh, true.
all these
Yeah, this one is good
episodes
too.
are
So
Oh
good.
my god,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh my god, it's just such a good episode of television. Oh my god. We have so much to do. So let's get right into it. It is time for the Subspace to pull and Mailbag.
Oh, I forgot the mail.
Oh, it did the stupid loop. I'm gonna play this and then edit it later. Sorry guys, this is the one I didn't do. Let me play this and I'll play it again.
Shipwide, Cadet Aurora.
Aye, sir.
Who wants to take the final pull? Eric's there. He's ready.
Oh no,
He raised his finger.
No, that was me doing
No?
the
Oh,
but I'll do it
oh.
anyway.
Yeah,
I'll
do it.
Yeah,
Do the
fuck,
poll.
yeah, fuck, yeah, why not? The Subspace to poll is 60% said pushing warp 10 out of 10, 27% said
Dangerous.
instant classic, 13% said have mercy. Oh, I should have said that like Uncle Jesse. Anyway, 0% said in need of a culling, which I'm really happy about. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
That's amazing.
And just because said pushing warp 10 out of 10, we have to play this.
Lizard babies.
Thank you.
Lizard babies.
Whoa, my
Lizard
microphone
babies.
Oh my
was
God.
bad
It
back
loops.
then. I can
It loops.
hear
It
it.
was back then. Yeah, see? SMK was right. We're going
By
to
the
go.
way, I want to say something. If there's only one vote for say the have mercy, that's me. I clicked the wrong button, so maybe it's a 0%.
Yum Yum Pod said Memento Mori Oh, that's
Yeah.
also a good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
We're gonna go in the same order, but I'm just gonna check in with Giraffe because Giraffe, if you didn't notice, is
I'm
not feeling
sick.
well tonight. Are you going to Mailbag?
Yeah, I'm going to Mailbag.
You're gonna
Let's do
Mailbag.
this.
All right, so Rhianna's
Yeah.
gonna take us off with Shatterhands, please.
Yes, so Shatterhand wrote an exciting end to an amazing first season. This one had it all. Excellent performances by Anson Mount, Melissa Nevia, and Paul Wesley as James T. Kirk. Great visual and musical callbacks to the classic TOS episode Balance of Terror. A compelling story about the consequences of tampering with one's destiny and how deferring command styles can change the course of a conflict, and a shocking teaser ending that will lead into season 2. Anson Mount is the clear stand out for this episode, with Melissa Navia coming in close second. Wesley's Kirk needs to grow on me a little more, but this was a promising start. A solid 10 out of 10 in my opinion.
nice.
Captain Pikachu wrote an interesting end to the season and Pike's conflict in dealing with his future. Kirk's appearance was a welcome surprise done in a clever way, though I am unsure about how the show chose to compare and contrast Pike and Kirk's command styles and how that affects the future or the implication that seemingly blames Pike's peaceful approach for dooming others to a darker future. Anson's performance anchors this episode, though, and I appreciate the show really filling in the spaces of why Pike and Spock's relationship is the way they are in TOS, as well as why Kirk ended up in the captain's chair. A well-structured resolution for a finale that leaves a good teaser for season 2. I think this episode gets a 7 out of 10 for me.
Nice. Haven wrote, I am so happy to be proven wrong based on my comments back in March after seeing this episode. For those who don't recall, I said that I was scared they were bringing Wesley on in season 2 as they were worried Strange New Worlds wouldn't live up to the expectations CBS wanted. With the exception of a single episode, this entire season was an incredible hit, and even the episode that wasn't a hit, people are still talking about it a week later. This episode truly broke the first season curse, and of course can't be a Strange New Pod episode if we don't talk about the amazing music Nami brings to the screen.
Yes.
Woo! Yes.
MC wrote, I think for everyone who worried that Strange New Worlds was leaning too much into Pike's accident, will be happy season 1 has put it to rest. Pike learned that someone ending up in the beep chair is, to quote Doctor Who, a fixed point in time. Mm-hmm. It's just who it is can differ. It's not the war with the Romulans that Pike needs to prevent, but Spock needs to be able to do all of the other important things he does. Peace with the Klingons, unification, and of course, most importantly, rescuing whales and creating the Kelvin timeline.
Whales.
Great. Don't forget about V'ger.
True.
Great episode. Want Star Trek's version of What If even more.
Yes.
Now.
Yes.
Bring it.
Yeah.
Egghawk wrote. Slow clap. Well done, Strange New Worlds. Immediately had to watch Balance of Terror as soon as this episode was over. What a great way to end the season. Loved the Wrath of Khan era uniform on Pike, the cliffhanger, and the intro to Captain Kirk. Great performance by all, and really looking forward to season 2.
Colin D wrote, first, Anson Mount did an exquisitely good job in a small role of older Pike. The slight change in voice strength, the slight slower body movements, the general sense of wariness, all superb. There is little I like more than good acting, and this was definitely that. He was pretty damn good as our President Pike, too. As for the episode itself, intense, compelling, cool throwbacks to Balance of Terror, and much more enjoyable Jim Kirk than I expected. Totally enjoyed it. Character of the day, no one other than Christopher Pike himself, 10 out of 10.
Yum Yum Pod wrote, what if... type of stories, especially of this nature, just don't do that much for us. And so this was just a big thud of an episode. The new Kirk didn't leave much of an impression outside of the dissonance of the show, telling us he was this young hot shot, yet he felt and looked a lot older than that. The show should have made Sam call him Jimmy. For some reason, since the '09 film, the Romulan makeup hasn't worked. Why do you make me read this? Already sick, man. Okay, I'm gonna power through. I can do it. For some reason, since the no, I'm gonna do it. I'm a strong woman. I'm powerful. I'm thriving. For some reason, since the '09 film, the Romulan makeup just hasn't worked that well. And we know they've had big foreheads in the past, but something about it in this episode made them look like they had just had chubby foreheads. The show listened to us and brought back Pike's lover from the first episode, but too bad she had to be forced to arrest Una. Here's hoping we see more of her next season, and it would be good if they make her more of a character too.
Wayner wrote, knocked out of the ballpark. Getting to see Romulans and Kirk, even in an alternate timeline, was awesome. This could also be a sign that Pike makes choices that saves all the cadets, even if his fate is sealed. There's still so many possibilities for Pike. Can't wait for the next season.
Nice. I actually Haven on the chat helped out and reminded me that I missed copy and pasting one of them that was in the middle there. So I'm going to close it out and read Mel's. I admit I was anxious about the season finale because they could have made Pike wrong on so many levels, and I didn't like the rumors about Jim Kirk showing up so early. It turned out to be a smart what-if episode with lots of Easter eggs to TOS's Balance of Terror. Anson Mount was amazing as the jaded older version of Pike, but also the prime version of Pike who slowly comes to terms with the fact that he cannot save all cadets and that he has to accept his fate. This is a huge ballast that was lifted up off his shoulders, which will hopefully free his mind from season 2 onwards. The cliffhanger, though, is it 2023 already? God, I wish it was. I wish it was. I wish it was. Holy moly. I keep saying with Strange New Worlds that some of these episodes may be our longest ever, but I think we broke that record again, and that's not a bad thing.
Oh my God. 2 hours, 45 minutes.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. With that, Strange New Worlds has come to an end for season 1. This episode has come to an end. Before we go, Rhianna, I want to thank you so much. We love the Duras Sisters. We love having you on, whether it's both of you, whether it's you, maybe Ashlyn will come on by herself sometime.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We love having you guys on so much. Where can people find the Duras Sisters podcast and what's coming up? I know you said you may not have picked the next topic yet.
That's okay. Yeah. We can be found on Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, TikTok, all under the Duras Sisters podcast or something around that. We also have merchandise on Threadless, most of which I've made, so I have a blast doing that. Also, we are working hard on our Patreon. We are currently almost finished reviewing the animated series all the way through. We're going to be starting Lower Deck season 2 very soon, which is really, really exciting. We'll be moving on to Short Treks next. A lot of really cool stuff coming to our Patreon. We're going to start to really streamline it and make it even cooler than it is now. So that's kind of what's coming up, besides our Death Fake Out Enterprise and Voyager episodes will be out in the next couple of weeks.
And you're going to have to add Strange New Worlds.
I know, it's very exciting. So we are thrilled. And as always, I am just so grateful to be on this awesome pod. You guys are doing amazing work, and I'm just so happy to be here. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Rhianna. This has been a blast, and thank you for your kind words. Speaking of blast, Aaron will be back with the pod next week when we deep dive Balance of Terror and Equality of Mercy. It's going to be wild, along with a very special guest. It's going to be awesome. That's what we have coming up. We'll have Lower Decks dates soon. What a wild ride, guys. Strange New World Season 1 in the books.
We made it.
On to Season 2. And this thus ends 29 straight weeks of Star Trek.
No, it doesn't, because we're back next week.
No, of new episodes of Star Trek.
New, yeah.
Damn it, Aaron. Damn it, Jim. For Hawk, for Rhianna, for Eric, for Giraffe, I am Julian. I say live long and prosper, Majram, and good night.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.